It doesn't matter what thing they're talking about.
An answer.
It doesn't matter which part of the thing they're talking about. That's not how technology works. When we find technology that works, we don't destroy it because we don't think we'll ever use it again. We continue to use it and improve upon it. That's how the human race works.
Really?
For God's sake, just look at the cell phone. How long did it take for us to have touch screens and it's the size of literally like a notebook? It took what, 10 years maybe? And all of us in 2020 to about to be 2021, we have no advances with rockets.
So if I brought you a 1970s computer, you could interface with it?
Hey, can I ask a question
Interface
real
with?
quick?
I don't interface with computers now.
Well, I'm saying that's not.
No, on computers he has a point.
right.
But how about radiation technology? They figured out how to go through the radiation belts, right? We'll give you the computer. That will have to be hypocrites to say otherwise. How about the radiation technology? The Van Allen radiation belts.
They took a chance.
Let's put it to him like this.
And even that isn't even a good comparison, because what you're doing is you're talking about a technology that isn't doing like a physical act. What we're talking about is we allegedly figured out a way to physically go to a place and then subsequently destroyed the technology so we could no longer go to the place. When in the history of humanity has that ever happened before?
Never.
Where we
Never,
made
ever.
transportation or discovered transportation to a place that we could not otherwise go to, and we destroyed it instead of improved upon it.
Technology progresses; it does not regress.
And the Van Allen thing. Every time I hear the excuses for the Van Allen belt, it's like somebody saying, "I ran into this wall, and because I didn't know the wall was there, I went straight through the wall." It's like it makes no common sense what they're saying. Because they didn't know it wasn't there, it didn't affect them. What the fuck kind of shit is that?
You're referring to Alan Bean when they asked him
necessarily-
about the radiation belts, right?
Yeah. When they asked them what happened when they passed through the Van Allen
That's
belt,
right.
they was like, "Oh, we didn't know they were there." It almost saying like, "Oh shit, we didn't see it. It didn't affect us. Nothing to see here."
Yep, astronaut Alan Bean.
I've never heard them say they didn't know the Van Allen belts were there in the 60s. I've never heard that before. My understanding
an
is
astronaut
they
literally
don't
said they didn't. We didn't even know they were there.
Hey, have you guys
Yeah,
ever heard the-
when he was confronted about it, he said, "Well, thinking back, I mean, I might have saw like little lights flashing in front of my eye. Isn't that what he said?" He's like, "I might have."
Yeah, he said that, Aaron. Yep. And when they reminded him, he said, "Well, we don't know. Maybe we didn't go through them." He goes, "No, you went through them. They were at this distance, and you went through them on your way to the moon." Oh, well, okay then. Yes. Like he had no clue.
Yeah.
So maybe it's selective Van Allen radiation belts. Maybe they open up like the atmosphere. It supposedly opens up for the rockets could go out.
Or selective hypnosis, right? I saw lights flashing in my eye, and then all of a sudden I wake up and be like, "Yep, I went through them." Yeah, yep.
Now I don't think it's hypnosis, Aaron. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think that they think that they're doing the thing for the greater good. Whatever excuse they tell them, I don't know. I wish, but I think they're doing it. That they think they're doing it for the greater good.
Well, they're sworn to secrecy. They're soldiers, so respect to them. They can't say anything otherwise. It's the guys on top that are running the show, right? If you're an astronaut, you're a military pilot. You have to follow orders.
No, there's been quite a few civilians that have went on the space shuttle. Just plain teachers from the U.S.
Remember what happened to that horrible accident?
Yes.
No, I don't know about a lot of
If
people.
it ever happened, that is, yeah.
There's other
But,
teachers that have went off, though.
With a lot of businesses.
And what others, though? I mean, you made a claim. Which others besides 1980 Shelley?
Hold on. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh,
Let me
but
look.
you should know, because that would be a monumental event, right?
If a
civilian went to space, wouldn't it be?
No,
like
he
this,
doesn't necessarily need to know it off the top of his head.
Well, if it was a Grover, he would ask us everything about that
only
person.
74 people have been to space, right? Only 74.
Yeah, but I don't blame him for not remembering a name off the top of his head. You might have to Google it or something.
We have to know everything about the facts, everything about the person, everything about the person's neighbor, every piece of information about that person ever.
How many astronaut names do you know?
Me? Not many.
Anyone? You don't know Buzz Aldrin, Alan, you know.
Tom Petty.
You know?
Buzz Armstrong, fuck the dude.
Look, nobody knows everything. I don't know all the astronauts.
The idiot that didn't know how to say the Magellanic Clouds.
That's right. Because we weren't alive back then. Yeah, pretty much because we weren't alive back then. Now, if a civilian went to space, right, wouldn't that name just be kind of... It would be in the Guinness Book of World Records, right? Like, holy shit, a civilian went to space, right?
Did you see that interview when they were asking him about the Magellanic, when they said about the Magellanic Clouds? Before that, they asked him about the stars, and they asked them if they were visible, and one started speaking, and then the other one said, yeah. Did you catch that part, guys? Where one was waiting for the answer.
The obvious plane off each other, looking at each other, expecting for an answer. Like, that is so obvious to me when I see that.
That guy is just... It's like he's talking to a child every time he's a little bit simple. Like,
yeah, like the societal lights. And it's black in space. Fucking retard.
You see when the interview...
Exactly
you see when the interview, he couldn't get the guy's name right. Tristan. And the guy tells him, look, it's the same name as your thing over there. The guy can't even say a name properly.
Have you guys ever seen the interview with the flat earther and a gentleman who's paid to go to space? He's like a rich dude who paid to go.
No, but you know that guy.
Not really.
We're crucifying the guy.
But is that a legit that a legit video or like a parody making fun of flat Earth?
No, it's from a radio show. It's but it had a video feed, and it's a flat earther. And they had a guy who's a millionaire who went to space, who paid to go to space, come in and talk to the guy. That's another gentleman I know.
I remember something like that on the Russian thing, right?
It was an American broadcast, but I think he might have paid the Russians. Yeah.
Was this a well-known millionaire? Somebody that you can mention?
He's not super well known, but you could probably look it up on YouTube. Just flat earther radio.
Hey, I remember that story. I remember what he's talking about. Some millionaire paid the 20 million, I believe, to go on the Russian Soyuz thing. I remember that.
Yeah,
vaguely.
It's a crazy amount of money. You can go now. You supposedly rent out the ISS for about $30,000 a night.
No, he didn't go to the ISS.
That doesn't work. None of that. You could go to space. Shit, none of that works.
Yeah, he just thought he went to space. That's all, right?
Well, they gave him a bunch of LSD and
Well, he didn't dock with the
ISS. In the room.
There was no docking, right? No dick docking with the ISS with the civilian, right?
These are just stories. There was no proof of that.
Because
just
that would actually be bad to bring some random virus-filled, civilian up into the ISS. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh, so Charles D. Walker was sent into space by his employer, McDonnell Douglas, in 1984. Let's see. There's a couple more here.
Yeah, what do you mean up to space, though? What do you mean?
So instead of just having proof of air pressure without containment or whatever, we just have to believe stories from people we'll never meet who have a financial reason to lie.
Donald Duck.
Well, we know one thing. They didn't go where they tell us they went. Wherever they went, they didn't go into a vacuum next to a pressure system. That we know for sure 100%.
They never left the pressure system,
Exactly.
Oh, you guys haven't heard? The Earth is a valve.
There is no vacuum next to a high pressure system.
Oh, there's not?
Haven't you heard it's a gradient? They say.
No. It's a valve. Every time they go up there, it opens up.
I don't know why you guys like to misrepresent that. Nobody's ever said that.
Yeah, you say.
So nobody ever said it's a closed system. Because I could quote you one of your own pastor saying that the Earth is a closed system. I really need you guys to understand this. There's nowhere to go.
Okay, well, he's not Jesus Christ, and he can make mistakes.
I mean, it seems like everybody from your side is not Jesus Christ and are making mistakes. This is why they're flat earthers.
Yeah, people are fallible. We all make mistakes.
Do you have your Bible open next to your physics book?
Okay, listen, this is actually pretty simple, guys.
Why are you bringing up Jesus Christ next to your history book?
Does the atmosphere spin with the Earth?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay, does the rest of the solar system spin with the Earth spin?
No.
Then the atmosphere must be a closed system. It's that simple.
Why must it? What? Why must it be a closed system?
It's separate. Therefore, it is a closed system. It's not dragging the rest of the solar system with it. So that must be the cutoff.
That's not the definition of a closed system. Closed systems. A closed system.
What's a closed system?
No matter. It means no matter is exchanged, right?
Is the ISS matter?
Okay.
Yes.
How did it leave the closed system?
Well, like I said, the Earth isn't a closed system technically.
Yeah, he's claiming that the Earth
is. It was a closed system.
He just brought up the word technically, Essie.
Oh, it's technically closed.
Yeah, I mean, so there's no such thing as perfection in the real world, right?
What do you mean?
Nothing is perfect.
Whoa! Nature's not perfect.
There's no.
That's false. You don't understand what the word perfect means, obviously.
There's no perfect closed system. There's no perfect isolated system. There's just variations of it, okay? And in engineering...
Those two statements might be correct. There is such thing as perfection in the world.
There's variations of truth. There's variations of honesty. There's variations of love. There's variations of, like, all these... human systems, right?
Hang on a second. There are no isolated systems, but a closed system and an open system are very well defined. A closed system will only let energy in and out. An open system will let energy and matter in and out. So, if Earth is an open system to let matter out, then all energy can get in and out. So, the air we breathe, everything.
I have no idea what would make you say that. Just because it's an open system doesn't mean it's open.
I'll explain why if you like.
Okay, well, let me say.
Because
you don't seem to understand what open means. Something is either opened or it's closed.
Yeah, if it's open, it's open. You cannot say. Yeah, you can't say it's an open system, but not for everything, because then it would be a closed system. It would be, only energy coming in and out. That's why, they are defined differently.
There's degrees of openness.
Yeah, no, there isn't. It sounds like it's either open or
there can be different amounts of open, but it's still open. No matter how little it is open, it's still open and not closed. Closed is an absolute. It's either closed or it's not closed.
Yeah, it could be a little open, a lot open, half open, but closed is closed.
Correct. But there's no such thing as perfection in the real world. So
listen, if it's not a closed system, it's open, right?
Who's talking about perfection?
Well, I'm trying to explain something to you.
Yeah, but I think you're the one that doesn't understand. We know, because of how we use air pressure, things like compressors, tools that we use for air pressure, you cannot have any kind of air pressure just hanging by itself in a ball or in any shape. It must be inside its container. For it to be pressure, it necessarily has to have containment to press upon to actually be pressure.
I've never heard that.
So if you don't have anything...
I've never heard that from any scientist or engineer or anybody in any kind of scientific field.
Well, then you must not have ever asked, because even a primary school teacher called Conspiracy Cats will tell you that without the container, there can be no pressure. Direct quote from Conspiracy Cats, mate.
Well,
so please don't tell me he's a teacher.
He made a mistake. I guess
he made a mistake, all right.
He's
made probably tons of mistakes.
He didn't make a mistake. That is what happens. You cannot create pressure without containment. PSI, per square inch. Per square inch of what? Of the container. You can't have that per square inch without the container.
Paige, atoms take up space. They can collide with themselves.
What?
Okay, right? you are now shifting.
No, something can't. No, sorry.
Freely collide.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Something can't bump against itself. Right. Hang on, something can't bump against itself. That's ludicrous.
And he's fundamentally forgetting that in space there's this claim that there are no atoms.
Paige, what you're saying was atoms bump against a vacuum. They bump against a vacuum.
He's saying they're bumping against nothing. They're bumping against themselves.
I'm not.
Yeah, you said an atom can bump against itself.
I'm saying imagine 1,000 ping pong balls bouncing around. They're hitting other ping pong balls.
Okay, stop. Ping pong balls, are they solid or a gas?
I'm trying to give you an analogy.
I know, right? And I'm trying to get you to see why the analogy is ridiculous. Gases are not bonded. No, a solid acts like a solid, a gas acts like a gas.
Well, let's put ping pong balls in a neutrally buoyant state so they act like a gas.
Gases are still not bonded. Gases are freely moving in all directions. They have different inter and intra. It depends on what you're talking about, whether the bonding is inside the molecules or to other molecules. You're getting confused between what intra and intermolecular bonding is able to do.
I have no clue why you're bringing that into this argument whatsoever.
In English, gas and water.
Because you're trying to analogize between a solid and a gas, and I'm trying to help you understand they are not analogous because they're so completely different.
Okay, so you're telling me that two gas atoms can't bump together.
That's not the point at all.
That's
they
not
can
what
bump
you
together,
said.
but how are they going to make pressure if they're not bumping against a wall, dude? Are you that simple? Come on, man. It's like me telling you now, look, I ran out of barbecue gas, right? But look, my barbecue container has a hole in it. Just go to the gas station and tell the guy, look, man, put it in a paper bag, bring it over, and let me fit. Do you understand what you're saying here? It doesn't make sense. You need containment.
What about weight? What if gas?
About what?
What if?
Wait, no. See, that's where the molecular bonding comes in, because the weight, they can't affect each other like that. They're gases.
Weight isn't a mass. Weight or mass isn't a property of any kind of molecular bonding.
You're picturing them pressing against each other,
that's
right?
my point.
Forming
it
layers
is.
like a cake, right? Is that what
gases
you're picturing?
Don't have those bonds.
Exactly.
You're trying to make them have bonds they don't have. Saying they're like solids when they're not.
When they tell you layers, right? When they tell you layers like a
you
cake.
wanted me to analogize them with ping pong balls. Mate, so you were analogizing them with solids.
I mean,
I'm sorry, but you were.
Well, there's no perfect analogy, right? So
No,
I'm
isn't.
not making analogy for everything. I was just trying to get you to understand that two molecules or two atoms can hit each other. They can hit each other.
But
they have a surface area, and they can bounce in. They can bounce.
Well, then you get into the argument of whether things are, bouncy molecules. Like, we don't even necessarily agree with your model about that.
Atoms and molecules are real things that we know about, which they aren't. We have no way to verify that that's real.
It's like saying, can you verify that two Sasquatches hit each other?
We have an entire field of physics called chemistry.
Saying that we have a lot of people paid to do quote-unquote research in a certain field is not proof.
But that's our problem.
Guess what?
We've looked into what these people have been doing.
People out there that believe in different gods. Do you think that all of those are true?
Yeah.
There's that many people looking into them, and there's that many people making money off of them?
Yeah, hang on a minute. You must have to believe in God and the Bible now because there's like 2 billion Christians in the world. So now you must believe what they believe because there's so many of them.
Do Christians take the principles written inside the Bible and build physical objects with them using the principles? That's
what the fuck has that got to do with anything?
What is your question exactly?
Well, that's the proof of the pudding. If I come up with chemistry, right? If I come up with a theory for chemistry and I can make substances with it, convert one molecule to the next, give it different
You
properties.
can't make substances. No human can make substances. So right there, you've either misspoken or you're not talking about something that's real. Humans don't make things. They can't create. They can only change or adjust. They can design. They can architect. No one here, including yourself, has ever created a molecule or anything like it. Never happened.
Well, change form from one, whatever. Okay, synthesize. You can take one atom or one molecule and bond it to another to create a new substance, to make a new substance.
Okay, all right, do that for us.
Yeah.
Then
pull it up on your screen and do that for us, quick.
But even if they can do that, what's that got to do with anything?
You can't do that. You are believing someone else who said they can do it. You trust them. That's on you. If you want to trust them. We're not going to start from the point of we trust everything that we're told that they say they can do. You can't even prove that molecules are real, let alone that you can make them or change them.
You don't think molecules are real?
Show me proof that they're real, and I have no problem considering their realism.
Have you ever heard of Brownian motion?
Heard of what?
Brownian motion.
It's possible I've heard that phrase before.
So
I don't keep track of all the phrases I've ever heard or read on the internet. What?
Yeah, the movement of pollen. Yeah, we heard of that. So what?
You can get a high-powered microscope and look at large enough molecules and see them vibrate and move around.
No, you see pollen vibrating. Get it straight. You don't see molecules. You see pollen. Am I correct?
And Brownian motion deals with two things: the object and it floating in the medium. You're talking about no medium. You've removed the medium, replaced it with nothing, and then said, look, this is what I think.
Yep. And they were observing pollen. Let's get that straight.
In a liquid.
Yep.
I have friends that are chemical.
Had nothing to do with air. Have you ever seen a bubble or a ball of air?
Yeah.
Bouncing. You've seen air bouncing as a ball.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I misheard you. Air
in
a balloon, sure.
No, have you seen air, right? The actual air as a bouncing particle.
No, air wouldn't bounce. It's not a solid. Solids don't.
Well,
bounce would be a solid.
So wait a minute. Are you making the exact point that Paige was trying to make to you?
And he's saying the opposite to what Rumpus was saying before. The air would actually bounce back up, but it doesn't bounce up high enough to escape the atmosphere. But yes, it does bounce, because otherwise they can't explain how gas can go in every direction without them saying that it hits the ground and bounces back up. So you're even saying the opposite to what your high priest in this community is saying.
Let me rephrase that. At a level that you can see, you're not going to be able to see air bounce. Your individual air molecules or atoms can bounce. How do you know but as a whole, you can't view that because it's too small, right? It flows. So, that's what makes it a liquid. That's what makes it a fluid.
How do you know it's doing that? Okay, but how do you know it's doing it then? You can't. You just said you can't see it
because it creates pressure.
Oh well, okay, but wait. That's what. You just said it makes itself.
It creates pressure.
But how do you know? Okay, how do you know the bouncing balls, which you can't see, is making the pressure?
Well, because you can blow with a like I can blow on my hand, blowing bouncing balls, and I can feel the pressure.
How do you know what you're blowing? Again. How do you know that you're blowing little balls? How do you know that? If you can't see it,
because of chemistry.
Okay, what does that mean?
If you, dude, I can't.
Chemistry lets you see some. Chemistry lets you see something invisible and then determine what it is.
You can't really see it in the typical sense because light is too blunt of an object to see most atoms. Okay. But through
so you can't
chemistry,
so you can't verify it.
You can verify it through other means, but. If we're talking
which one of your senses can you detect them with to verify?
Well, we have machines for that. You'd build machines
so you have special tools that are meant to do that.
This is all outside your personal verification scope, right? You've never built one of these machines. You've never looked through one of these machines. You've never seen an atom. You're taking this all on, could we say, faith?
I'm taking it all on the foundation of the modern world, right? The modern world.
None of which.
Right. Okay. So you're choosing to believe them. You haven't verified it. You're just choosing to believe them. If you admit that, that's fine. Like that's up to you. You can choose to do that.
I went to school. I went to a school that was a mechanical engineering school and a chemical engineering school.
And you saw atoms in the school? Did you personally verify atoms at the school?
I saw very.
Did you personally verify atoms? We're asking about very specific because you said atoms. Did you personally verify atoms at this school?
I personally verified chemical interactions.
Okay, but not atoms. So you're bringing up something that I can.
We can't verify it. You can't verify it. You haven't verified it. You're taking their explanation of why the reaction happens and deciding to believe it. It could very well be a different explanation, but still works.
I don't see how.
Yeah, well,
if it was another.
Okay, here's an example. Okay, we both look at a house and it's painted red. I could say a team of painters that were trained came and painted the house, and you could tell me no, monkeys came along and they happen to have paint and they splashed it on there and now it looks very nice and it's a nice red painted house. Either explanation is technically possible. You can choose to believe one or the other, right?
But unless you saw the house get painted yourself, you couldn't verify which way.
Right. You have no way to verify how the house actually got to be red.
Yeah, but that's not a theory that's demonstrated through making physical objects that have certain properties.
Can you weigh? Can you weigh helium? Can you weigh?
I just want to know what his point is, guys. Don't keep on asking him every question, every definition. Don't do that. I just want to know what is his point ultimately with the atoms. What is his point?
We know his point is that we have predictions. And
the discussion was about the gas pressure needing the container or not needing the container, or basically he was claiming that Earth isn't a closed container, or at least not an entirely closed container.
Yeah, I know that. And then he said something about you guys know that atoms can bounce with each other. I just want to know what was his point, where he was going with that.
Can anyone here weigh hydrogen? Can you weigh hydrogen? Can you weigh it?
Yeah, you can weigh hydrogen.
How do you do that?
But just like you weigh a liquid.
How would you weigh hydrogen?
Same method. Well, you put it in a container out of necessity, and then you put it on a scale.
You put it in a what?
You put it in a container out of necessity, and then you set it on a scale.
Funny how that works, right?
Yeah, it's funny how
I think it's funny he used the word necessity.
How do you know?
Yeah, why is there a necessity? Explain us. Why is that necessity needed?
Wouldn't the container get lighter?
The container would get it wouldn't get lighter. It would get heavier if it was completely empty. I mean, if the gas was filled with a heavier gas and then you emptied that gas and put helium in it, it would get lighter. But if the gas was empty, or if the container was empty and you put helium in it, it would get heavier.
When you say empty,
we do this all the time.
Wait, you say empty? You mean there's nothing in the container?
Well, like I said, there's no such thing as perfection, but
Hold on, man. Hold on. The container I'm going to use is a balloon, right? I'm going to put it into the balloon and then put the balloon on the scales.
Yeah, no, you would put it in something larger and more heavier because the buoyant force would be so great because the balloon is lighter.
So you can't fucking weigh it then.
But you said if you add that it makes it heavier. So
it does make it heavier.
So it makes the balloon heavier. If you add helium to a balloon container, it makes the balloon heavier. It'll press on the scale more. Is that what you're claiming?
I didn't say it would press on the scale more. Have you ever
That's how a scale works. It's how much pressure is pushed down onto the scale will determine what the result is on the scale. That's how a scale works. So if it gets heavier, that means there will be more of a force downward onto the scale.
If you disregard the buoyant force. We're not disregarding the buoyant force. This is some of the most basic physics.
No, I'm not disregarding anything. I'm telling you that you're wrong. It won't get heavier. It'll get lighter.
The buoyant force includes little g or one of the g's, right? So we have to disregard the buoyant force. We have to disregard g. Is that what you're saying?
You're talking about one that you put helium in. One thing that it will make.
It doesn't matter.
Everything.
It breaks the rules. Therefore, the rules are not correct.
It doesn't break the rules. It's perfectly accounted for with the buoyant force. I can calculate the buoyant force. I can tell you exactly how much helium you need to put in it to make it float, and how big the actual balloon needs to be to create the buoyant force to make it go up. That's how we know. Like, have you seen David Blaine here recently? Right, he floated up with the balloons. That's because they know what the buoyant force is, and they calculated what it was.
You mean a magician? You mean a magician? That guy? Yeah.
Well, he I don't know if I'd really consider him a magician.
Is helium made of mass?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're taking mass, the container, and adding more mass to it, the helium, you're getting more mass in one area, and you're saying that gravity has less of an effect on it when you've added more mass to the same area?
I never said gravity has less of an effect on it. I said the buoyant force has more of an effect on it because it takes up more space.
Okay, but the balloon goes down like other objects when it doesn't have the helium. It goes up when it does have the helium. So what happens with gravity there? Allegedly.
Gravity is... What do you mean what happens with gravity there? It's still in the equation. It's just that the buoyant force is greater than the gravitational pull downwards. So very simple. It's two things, right? You have gravity pulling the balloon and the helium down, And then you have Archimedes' principle. I'm sure you've heard of that. That's what we're talking about. Buoyant force is Archimedes' principle. And that's, i.e. the buoyant force is pushing it up. And the buoyant force is greater than the gravitational force downwards.
Let's get this straight. When he says buoyant force, what he's talking about is the physical medium. Okay, so when you have water,
can I just want to point one thing out quick with his comment about buoyant force. It sounds like what he's saying is we don't need the concept of gravity. It sounds like the buoyant force can just be there or not be there, and that takes care of everything.
The buoyant force goes up. It points up.
Okay, but if there's no buoyant force, then it would automatically, whatever it is, go down. So we don't need gravity suddenly.
No, it would sit still.
Yeah. That's what you claim, but that's not what it sounds like.
Well, there's,
this is a clear case of imaginometry. He just makes this shit up in his head.
No, I'm not trying to whip out my dick here.
Okay, here, but let's.
This is kind of my.
Okay, here. Let me ask you one question. So when you have buoyant force, right? Water would be what held up the wood with the buoyant force. Now, if water is physical and it's holding the wood up, now the gravity is pulling it down. How does gravity pull something down? How does that happen?
Well, I mean that's kind of complicated. I'm not too kind of complicated. Yeah, you're talking about.
So is it
shouldn't be complicated? I mean,
it shouldn't be complicated. Why shouldn't it be complicated?
The water holding it. Is the water holding it up? Is the water holding a buoy up complicated?
The water holding the force.
Let's say I put a ball in water and it floats. Is that complicated to explain? Why the ball is floating? Is that a complicated thing to explain to me?
Do you have to placate that?
You said explain gravity. You said explain gravity, and we would have to get into to do that.
No, how does it look? You say buoyant force. I'm like, show me that. I put a ball, it's in the water, it's floating. Okay, I understand. The water is holding the ball up. Now you say there's this gravity pulling the ball down. I can't see the gravity, and I'm like, okay, well, how is it pulling it down? And you're going, wow, that's complicated. Sounds like magic. You have no idea.
There's tons of mathematics to describe it, and
we know it's true. You can describe lots of things. Could you describe it physically? Would you say gravity is physically pulling the rock down? Would you describe it like that?
No, I wouldn't say
it's
physically.
non-physically pulling it down.
Yeah, non-physically. The buoyant force is a physical.
Have you ever seen something move? Have you ever moved something by non-physical means?
Yes.
Okay. Name one thing you've moved non-physically.
Magnets.
Okay. So what you're doing, so do you see what, okay, so you're assuming that because a magnet can move metal and you can't see it.
You just said magnets. You're saying magnetism moved it, not you.
Well, I manipulated the magnets.
But so you
grabbed the magnet.
You mean like with my
That's
mind?
not the same.
Try and move a cabbage with a magnet.
It has to be magnetic.
Why?
It has to be magnetic. So you admit that it's not you moving it; it's magnetism. So that doesn't count.
Yeah,
Yes,
that has to be physical. That has to be physical.
That's right. You don't.
You
don't have the ability to move things non-physically, do you?
No, I don't have telepathy.
And neither does anybody else, buddy.
Either does the planet. The planet doesn't have telepathy either. So if you don't have telepathy and you think it's ridiculous to move a thing non-physically, but you're going to say that the planet is doing it, come on.
Well, we know magnets can do it.
No,
so
we don't. We know magnets use magnetism.
Okay. You don't.
Not telepathy.
You know magnetism is non-physical. Okay, you don't know that. That is a bullshit belief you have that a magnet can move a metal without physically touching it, which you just said is telepathy and ridiculous. But you will then say that that's how magnetism and gravity works. Because you have to. Belief. And your belief system will go against it will even go against your own logical thoughts. You on one side of your mouth will say telepathy is ridiculous, you can't move things, and then you're saying magnetism and gravity is telepathy. It's crazy, bro.
I'm not saying it's telepathy. I'm not saying it's telepathy. You're asking me if I can manipulate objects with my mind.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, is gravity touching the object to move it? You said no. And I said that is the same thing.
Right, the hand you asked, can you move something without touching it? Right. That was the original question.
Like with telepathy, almost.
Yeah.
That would be almost telepathic moving, telekinesis, moving something without touching it. You think that's ridiculous, but then you will say, yeah, that's what magnets and gravity do.
I mean, I can show you on camera right now with two magnets that they can move each other
you can't
without touching.
Okay.
Great.
You believe just because you can't see the connection between the magnet and the metal doesn't mean it's not there. When you say there's no physical connection, you're saying the magnet moves the metal with telepathy. Then you will then say that telepathy is ridiculous. But then you will then say that a magnet moves metal with telepathy. Do you not see how contradictory and double talking you're being?
No, telepathy telepathy means that I'm moving something with the power of my mind. Moving something with magnetism.
So how does a magnet move metal?
Do what?
So how does a magnet move metal?
Through magnetism.
Okay, that you're just saying how? Is it touching it? Is it pushing it, pulling it?
No, there's a reaction between fields.
Where'd you get the magnet? First of all, let's get back to the basics. Where'd you get the magnet to answer
I think that Right the Hand was going somewhere pretty good with that.
I think we need to get back to this guy, because Right the Hand's point always is over and above upon this guy's head. He says he can grab a magnet.
Look, I just want
he can grab a magnet and move shit without touching it. Right? Come on.
Yeah, that's the concept we're working with. And if you're going to say that moving something without touching it with your mind is ridiculous, then that's not because your mind it's because the total idea of moving something without touching it is ridiculous. Whether you apply that to the mind, whether you apply that to a magnet, whether you apply it to gravity, right? Regardless of how you apply moving something without touching it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. Exactly. The entire modern world is built on electromagnetism, and that idea is ridiculous. And we can't see it. There's been no method of touching it, feeling it, smelling it, tasting it. No way to quantify it.
It moves metal. It moves metal. What more quantification of something physical do you need than the fact that a magnet can literally pull metal towards it? Do you think it's just doing this magically? Do you think it's not touching the magnet, then meditating with the power of God to pull the metal towards it? Or could it possibly be that there is a physical connection that you just don't understand, and instead of admitting that physical connection is required for movement, you double down on your telepathic magnetic belief system? Could that possibly be?
I don't see gravity moving metal at all.
I do. You have no basis for saying that it's touching it.
I have
no basis whatsoever.
Yes, I do. The basis of logic and common sense.
Everything
that
moves needs something to touch it, and that thing's moving. That's the basis. You don't know of anything else that moves without something affecting it like that.
Unless you circular logic a magnet. A magnet moves things without touching it because a magnet is moving things without touching it. That's circular logic. A magnet uses God to move metal because a magnet moves metal with God. That's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Using what
let's also keep in mind though that let's also keep in mind that magnets are natural substance given by God. Yeah.
Okay. How about this one? I'm going to put 10 feet, or let's just say a foot thick wall of concrete in between strong magnets, right? I can affect the magnet on the other side with the magnet on the opposite side.
Yeah.
With the physical barrier in between, right?
Okay, so what does that mean?
So you're telling me that there's little bitty strings that are reaching out and going through the pores of the concrete and finding the little crevices And going
No, he never.
see, now
He
this
never
is-
claimed to
where
know
you're-
what it
hold on,
was.
hold
He
on,
never
hold
claimed
on.
to know how it works.
This is where your brain.
Give me a break.
Yeah, and this is where your brain is. This is where your brain is stuck in your belief system. So I could explain a mechanism in which the magnet is creating some sort of effect that is vibrating the just creating a vibration that the concrete will vibrate to in such a frequency that it'll pull it through. Like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, right? Like because you can't see what's happening. So
we can measure vibration.
Okay, hang on. We're coming down to just. Here's the point. It's A or B. It's A, the magnet is moving something through a physical connection you can't see, or B, the magnet is moving something through no mechanism whatsoever. Now you have to say, and you just got to be honest with yourself, can you think of some sort how you can move something with nothing? Right? There's no way to transfer the data. Okay, so you have this object that is now moving in a direction. Now it needs to get information from somewhere to move in this direction, or else it would go in the other direction. Now you're saying this information got to this metal through no way. It just magically appeared inside the metal, and the metal started moving. Does that make sense?
And nobody ever said it's magic. It's called physics, and it's called a vector
well,
field.
No. Physics is physical interactions. You are removing the physical. Hold on. You're removing the physical interaction between the magnet and the metal, and then saying it's physics.
Physics, it doesn't mean it's physical. Physics describes how the world works.
Physics doesn't mean
wait,
it's physical.
Oh, come on.
Let's go back to the original question. Right hand.
I'm giving it up.
You're on top
when
of it.
physical is not physical.
I just wanted to know. I asked if anybody could weigh hydrogen or any one of the 7 noble gases. Can you weigh them? That's all. That was the original question. Now we're kind of deviating off into gravity and magnetism and all this shit. And right the hand is winning, but I still don't have an answer. I don't have an answer to my question.
I totally agree that the whole world is built on our theory and our knowledge of magnetism and electromagnetism, but that's all wrong. And we can put physical objects in between magnets and in between electrons and move things, but it's physical somehow. Even though we can put a physical barrier between them, we can measure vibrations.
So
we can measure
rather than concluding that there's just a physical connection you don't understand, you would instead conclude that it's different than everything else in the world that we understand. Instead of just concluding that maybe you just don't understand the physical connection that it has, you can't seem to admit that. Instead, you'll just conclude that it's something else entirely, completely different.
He's concluding that it's nothing. He's not even saying that it's something else. He's just saying there is no mechanism. There is no connection. There is no anything. It just moves. He's saying it just moves.
And he won't address weighing gases. He won't address that.
You know that we can measure. We will in just a second. You know that we can measure a magnetic field, right?
Okay, we're not talking about. In order to measure something, you have to have a sensor that gets interacted with something. If there's not a mechanism that comes from the magnet to the sensor would read 0, nothing new, because there was nothing that was changing or interacting it. Now you're saying this sensor is picking up nothing, yet it is noticing this nothing enough that it can change. That's ridiculous.
I didn't say it's measuring nothing. Measuring a magnetic field. You can
but you said a magnetic field is a non-physical connection.
You can test it out. You can put every type of object you want to in between your 2 magnets.
That doesn't mean it's magic.
What?
That doesn't mean it's magic. If you put a piece of cardboard and a piece of rock and a piece of this in front of a magnet and it still goes through, it doesn't mean there's no mechanism. It doesn't mean that the metal's just moving magically just because you put a piece of concrete in front of it. Is that what you're thinking? Oh, well, put my hand in front of a magnet, therefore it must be magic. There must be no mechanism because it worked even though my hand was in it. Come on.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
But that is what you're saying. That is literally what you're saying. You're saying, I have a magnet, I put a piece of concrete, the metal still moves. That must mean there's no mechanism. There's no physical connection. The magnet just pulls the metal magically with telekinesis.
Can I jump in here real quick? What are you saying then? If that's not what you're saying, what are you saying?
saying that there's something called a vector field in space.
What creates
point in
that
space?
In what space?
In just 3-dimensional space. It's a property thing.
As U as the center, right? U as the 0, 0, 0.
No, I mean wherever you want to set up your coordinates at. I'm just talking about just any 3-dimensional space.
Okay.
There's things in physics defined as fields. Now, we could be wrong, but there's a hell of a lot of evidence to support it. The entire modern.
So the only way I should know any of this is to go to physics, and so I can know this, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you can test out the theories for yourself. The theories make predictions, and you can build real world objects based on those ideas and principles, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean ideals and principles? Which ones? Come on, dude. You're like summarizing the whole physics library right into like one sentence, like
Maxwell's equations.
Okay, cool. So what can I idealize on Maxwell's equations?
Yeah, but those are equations, calculations, not.
You can build electromagnetic motors.
And by the way, they're called Maxwell's field.
You can build those with equations,
not just equations. Yeah.
They're equations, my dude.
Yeah, if I have equations, I have the materials to build those things.
You can apply those equations and build real-world objects based on the predictions of those equations, and they will operate in the real world.
Okay, let's just say, for argument's sake, if all of those equations were wrong, and I still put those physical pieces together in the exact same way, would the physical object still work?
And why are you summarizing Maxwell's field equations?
Hold on, Aaron. Let me answer the question. If all of those pieces were put together the exact same way, and I had the wrong equations, would the item still work?
Wait, say that again?
The things you're saying that you can build using those equations, if I had the wrong equations and I still put the items together in the exact same way, would the device still work?
If you put the device together in a way that was congruent with Maxwell's equations without somehow knowing Maxwell's equations, sure, absolutely. But that
okay, so
it worked without Maxwell's equations.
You don't do anything, and that you don't need them.
You don't need them.
Yeah, the equations came after.
You don't need them. If you can still put all the pieces together in the exact same way without the equations and have it still work, the equations aren't necessary. They are not a necessary part of making the item. They're not needed.
Yeah, they're a description of the working item. You get the working item first, then you use the formula to describe it. So you can't build the working thing with the formula. Hold on, you can't build the working item with the formula you use to describe it once it's working, because the thing must be working first before you can describe it with the equation. So the equation can't be part of the process which is used to build the item that is working.
I don't think you guys know how engineering works. We build things with the fundamentals. We build things with the fundamental knowledge and principles that were discovered before, i.e., the equations. They're discoveries. Equations are discoveries.
Equations are not discoveries.
Bro, you don't look under a rock. You don't lift up a piece of paper and find an equation under there. You don't go cut a tree down and find an equation inside of it. You're not discovering equations. Oh, you did. You said they were discovered. They're not discovered. They're invented by humans. Okay, he said he didn't say discovered.
There was a guy named Nikola Tesla, right? He was fucking around with all kinds of machines. He made hundreds of different variations, and then finally one worked. He had no fucking clue.
And none of them.
That's called trial and error.
Finally, one worked. And then when he found the one that worked, he had to go to somebody else and have him make some equations from the discovery.
Why are you telling me
That's what he just said. That's what you were just told a little while ago. You can't make the thing with the equations, and that's not what Tesla did, is it? He took the objects and made it, and then had someone make the equation afterwards.
Yes, he did hundreds of variations, and then from that.
So the equations do not make anything. That thing still works whether or not you ever find an equation to describe it. The thing will still work no matter what.
Dude, do you have any clue how engineering works?
It doesn't matter how engineering works. You don't need the equation for something to work. I can cut down a tree and the tree falls. And that will happen whether I find an equation to describe it or not.
I'm talking about the application of scientific knowledge to build real-world devices like the phone you're using.
No, we're not talking about that.
Devices,
we're talking
like
about using
phone.
numbers and symbols to represent
real-world devices
what
like
actually happens.
That's what he says.
So you're telling me? So hold on. You're telling me that somebody built your phone, and then afterward they made the equations.
How about stacking blocks? Right?
Actually, what I would, if you're talking about phones, what I would tell you is there's nobody that has ever made an equation that will equal phone. You don't have an equation for that.
Show me the equation for phone, dude.
You don't have one.
I can show you
so
the
now you're
equation
using an
for
example that doesn't even
phone.
exist. You don't have an equation for phone.
We have an equation for every piece of the phone.
No, you don't.
And then you put them together.
Okay, show me the equation for touchscreen.
Yeah, what do you think an equation is first? Well, to you, what is an equation?
There's no equation.
Hold on,
things, dude. They're physical objects. And guess
all
what?
these
You don't
equations
need an equation. You can put them together and they work without an equation.
Magically appeared in my hand a phone because they have all these equations. So right now I'm talking to you because magically all these equations came together and appeared in my hand a phone that I'm talking to you guys on. Isn't that amazing? Fucking amazing, dude.
Right, I mean, there was just people they were just throwing shit at the wall, sticking shit at the wall, and out came a phone. Pretty crazy.
No,
right? They had
there is such thing.
How do you think they made a phone? You think they made it on the first try?
And processes.
It's funny
and
shit.
you can have methods. You can have patterns.
Trial and error.
But none of those are an equation making something. None of them.
Dude, you are. I don't know how to even talk to you if you think that's
okay.
That's
well,
serious.
then you don't belong here.
Civil engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering,
civil engineering,
field.
Mechanical engineering, all the natural sciences, right?
Yeah, all the natural sciences, correct? That we have equations for, and we what we do is we build a computer model with the equations that we know that we discovered.
Hold on.
From
Now
the real
you're
world.
talking about technology.
That's fine. And what do those equations do? Do they build the bridge, or do they just plug in the numbers, and it tells you whether or not it will work as designed?
That's right. They tell you what you can design with it. They tell you the limits.
That's right. They don't build the bridge, do they? They don't make the thing. And if you made the thing exactly as you put it in the computer without ever having put it in the computer, the thing would still work.
There might have been a trial and error first too, right, Bob? You know, like people built bridges without, technology, without equations.
Physical objects to do what the physical objects do.
Error, there where people figured out, without equations, how to build bridges, right? Without, equations and shit.
Yeah, anybody can build a bridge that's chunky as hell. It takes an engineer to build a bridge that will barely stand up.
Does a beaver use equations when it dams off a river?
Of course.
So a beaver knows math.
No, I'm fucking around.
Okay, so then how does this... Okay, hang on. So if a beaver has no idea about equations, how does its dams work?
They stuff a lot of shit in
Okay,
there.
but why does it work if it doesn't know equations?
Because you don't have to know equations to build everything. You have to know equations.
You don't have to know equations to build anything.
How do you think
you can use them, but you don't need them?
Okay, so where is the line? Tell me the line of where you need an equation to build something and where you don't.
You need an equation to build something that's complex.
A dam?
What's
is not complex?
the equation for a
the Hoover Dam? The Hoover Dam is not a complex.
A beaver stuffing shit in a river.
A bunch of humans stuffing shit in front of a river is no what? You think the Hoover Dam is not a bunch of humans just stuffing shit in front of water?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they didn't engineer that. They didn't look at any
Oh,
equations.
you think a beaver? You don't think a beaver did some? You don't think a beaver did a little engineering?
You don't think
when
the
he said, "Well, this stick, I'm going to cut down this one because it's a little thicker,"
and said, "Wow,
Come
that's
on, bro.
genius!" Right?
Dude, you guys are so ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, because it kills your argument, bro. Because it totally destroys your argument. You're doing the exact same thing a fucking beaver does.
A beaver.
You don't think 600 beavers can? Bro, you ever see a dam that one beaver built? Give me a team of beavers. Take the Hoover Dam down. Give me a team of beavers. They'll build the same. It'll look a little different, but it'll work. It'll stop that water.
Exactly. Oh yeah, fucking
exactly.
Right. Yeah,
We're the ridiculous ones because we don't believe that math will like automatically manifest physically.
Yeah, beaveromedy.
I mean, that is the silliest.
It's because of the equations, right? The hand, because of the equations. That's why.
Bro, all
exactly
I'm telling you
how a dam works, right? Exactly how beavers build dams, even water pressure.
Calling it silly is not refuting it.
You know, behind their dam, they have to fucking think about that shit, right? They have to think about gravity.
Yeah, that's still not refuting it.
Water equal potential. They have to think about all that.
Deserves to be refuted.
Bro, you got. I gotta say, a beaver's got to be smarter than a dog, right? My dog has never built a fucking dam, dude. It's got to be stupid as hell. Bro, I know kids that have.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, so I'm gonna engineer a power plant. Okay, I need it to output 10 megawatts of power continuously for 10 years. Right? I'm gonna use equations to build that power system, right?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Right? You're going to tell me that somebody's going to come along and cobble together the components for that power system just by mere chance, just by fucking around?
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, that's not the point at all. I'm not saying that'll happen. I'm not saying that's likely or even remotely close to reasonable. Absolutely not. No, what I'm saying is that if it were to happen, that power plant would work exactly the same whether they ever looked at or used the math or not, because the math isn't what makes things work. Things work, and then you use math to describe them. That's it.
So let's ask him, Bob, what kind of power plant? Let's just say
a power plant is a conglomeration of all of the things that they have learned before. Like, you don't build a power plant first. First, you have to build the concrete.
What kind of power plant? Let's just say wind generated, right? Wind generated, right? Power plant. So you build some wings, and you build this pole, and you say, you have the math to say that, if these things spin, and I put a generator up there, which is old technology, right? And you put a generator up there, I might be able to gain a few watts, right? Is that what you're getting at when you say you're building a power plant?
Well, I'm talking about a specific output, right? We're talking about
how many watts? How many watts?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean?
10
how would you measure a megawatt? What does that mean in reality?
A megawatt?
Exactly.
What could you show me a megawatt, or could you show me like 5 gallons of gas burning?
I can tell you some equivalents. Hold on.
Would the equivalent? When you say 10 gigawatts, would you kind of be describing like 10 gallons of gas burning, or like 50 pounds of wood in an oven?
A hell of a lot more.
Okay, but you would be describing some amount of physical fuel.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, but you would have to put it in a system that you can extract energy from, right? Like an engine.
Yeah, but what you would have to know beforehand, like you would have to burn a piece of wood to know how much energy, quote unquote, it gives off before you can get a formula for how much wood energy gives off, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to burn the wood first. So couldn't you just burn the wood and forget about that second part? And you would just know because you burned the wood. So you're right. The burning the wood, the actual thing comes first, and the equations come after.
Or right the hand, I would like to say, like, how much energy, how much gasoline did it take to build the tower that he's talking about with the big turbines on it? How much gasoline did that take, right? Energy, you know.
Yeah.
A gallon of gasoline is equivalent to, let's see here, 27 megawatt hours.
Okay, what if you had zero? How much megawatt hours will zero gasoline give you?
About zero.
About zero or zero?
What kind of stupid question is that, man? Zero.
Well, I'm just saying, can you get energy from no matter is the question.
Can you get energy from no matter?
Silly question. Now you're pondering.
Great question.
Well, because it's setting it up. It's setting it up for his model, right? Like, because he's in a real spot right now. Because if he says no, he knows where I'm going with that.
Exactly.
But he says,
I hope he knows. I hope he knows.
I don't know where you're going.
Oh, well, then you should know your model then, if you don't know where I'm going.
I mean, you can get, you mean by burning? I mean, you can get energy, you can extract energy from matter moving. It wouldn't manipulate.
But what if you had no matter? If you had no matter, you can't have energy, right?
Sure.
Okay, so what's a photon?
What is E equals MC squared?
A photon has mass. I would say mass.
No, it doesn't. No, it has no rest mass, right? It's got at rest it's nothing, right? It's got no. So how does it? Where's the energy in the photon with no matter?
So I misspoke.
You contradicted the model. Well, mass is mass is a measurement of matter.
Not necessarily.
So you can measure nothing?
You can measure light.
You
ever heard of light?
You ever heard of circular logic, where you're like, say light is what it is because light. So is light physical that can transfer energy, or is light the only thing in the world that you have ever heard of that could transfer energy without physicality?
Light pounds, right? Light pounds.
Well, you can magnetism, same thing.
I know, but
the electric field.
You're getting away from the concept to go to an example. Before we can go to the example, we have to agree on the concept, right? If you agree on the concept that you can't have energy without matter, then we go to light. That has to fit. You can't say, well, I know I said energy, but there's this thing light, and I had this belief about light, so it can break this rule that I just agreed to. This is why I like establishing the rules.
No. Where does light come from?
Well, but don't ask me that. I want to establish, can you have energy without matter? Then we can, everything else will fall into place from that rule that we establish.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think energy is a property of matter, right? The idea that you can somehow get energy from gas that you don't have is ridiculous. So then we just take that logic, which is very sound, and apply it to light. And then it doesn't work because they're saying light has no physicality, but it is somehow transferring energy. And we just established that is bullshit.
It comes from matter, though. Its origin is from matter.
So it must be matter itself then?
No, but it can't exist without matter because matter is its origin. So my statement is correct.
What does that mean?
Which came first, light or matter?
Ooh.
Matter, because light comes from matter.
So you can't have light without matter.
Correct.
Oh, and you can't have, so that means you can't have you can't have light without matter, or you can't have energy without matter because light is energy.
Yeah, you have to have matter.
Okay, so how do you have, so a photon, so when we talking about a photon, where is the matter in the photon as a requirement for the light, which the photon is?
I didn't say there was matter in the photon. I said its origin was matter.
Okay, but you did say that in order to have, you said that you need matter to have light. right? And so if you need matter to have light and you need matter to have energy, but a photon is neither of those. It's neither matter nor it's just energy, right? So it's not matter. So how is it doing what nothing else can do? Or maybe it's not.
Which came first, matter or gravity? How about that?
I don't have a fucking clue, dude.
Okay, I mean, so without gravity,
matter.
you don't have matter. You don't have matter.
You don't think light has energy? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think light is separate from matter.
You don't think light is still? You think so? You think light is? You think light contains matter?
No, I think there's matter, and it can be in an illuminated or a non-illuminated state. Like illumination is what you would call light, but it's just matter. It's just matter, right? Like a cup, when you look and you can't see a cup, okay, the cup is still there. You can feel it. But when you can see it, it's just the cup. It's not anything else besides the cup. It's not light and the cup. It's just the stuff that is there. I don't separate light and the objects.
Good point. When you close your eyes, you can still grab the cup.
Well, I mean, dude, I'm not gonna. I don't know why you would forego all the physics that built the modern world. They're just so odd to me, right? Look around you.
Probably because they can't back any of it up with actual, verifiable, credible, repeatable evidence.
Well, look around you. Name me one object right now that was built that wasn't built using principles.
So
science.
you're a structural engineer. You spend all your days in an office, right? And you draw up blueprints and print, and you do change orders, and I get it, right? And at the end result, you might go out to the site 1 or 2 times a year, even though it's a 5-year project, right? I get it. I know where you're coming from, right? Things are built. You're exactly right.
Using the principles.
But it's not from you, dude. it's from human.
Yeah, but it's from the principles that we obtained through the scientific method. We're using the scientific knowledge base to build these working systems, right?
No,
right now,
you just
hold on. Let me tell you what we're doing right now. We're refitting the entire city's piping system.
Refitting.
Everything.
Okay, so there's already a pre-structure. I get it. Okay, you're refitting a structure that's already there. That's a refit. I get it. Right?
What's one structure that's built with the theory of bending space-time? Just one.
Well, we use the WGS map to determine the height difference between nodes to determine the pressure difference in.
So you're a surveyor.
Raising or lowering the water.
Well, that's bending
so you're a
space-time.
surveyor? Are you? Are you a surveyor?
No.
I just want to know your level of where you are in the construction business, right?
Engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer, but I work in the civil. I'm working in the civil field right now.
Yeah, civil engineering is great. Yeah, that means long distance, roads, kind of, right? Like, what's your project you're working on, or do you have people working under you that, what are they working on?
We have teams of engineers. And then, yes, we basically hire people to do the construction aspect. And then we oversee that.
Yeah. Well, how do you oversee that? What do you mean, oversee?
We go to the site and make sure that they ordered the proper things. Everything on site is what we engineered it to be. Just basically all the details of the engineering that we engineered out, right, are correct.
What's the biggest project you're on right now? One of the biggest.
We'll work one project at a time, and this one's been going on ever since I started this job, and it's refitting the entire city's piping system, sewer system, and water system.
If they have the calculations, why do you need to check? If you made all the calculations, why do you even need to check?
Because people's lives can depend on this.
But they have the calculations. What can go wrong? The calculations are
people aren't perfect. That's what goes wrong. People.
Danzo, he's talking about plumbing right now, right? So you're talking about refitting the underground system of a certain portion of a city, not the whole city. I'm sure.
This isn't plumbing. Plumbing doesn't deal with pressures and
plumbing doesn't deal with pressure. You shitting me?
Engineering pumps and engineering the pressures in the system.
Oh, so you're above ground plumbing. You're above ground, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
What?
Below ground.
Did we just hear right that plumbing doesn't deal with pressure?
They don't calculate pressures.
Really? They don't calculate pressure? Are you fucking shitting me? You are shitting me.
And Bansal, let me guess. If I say this, plumbing doesn't deal with flow rate also, right? It doesn't.
No.
They might. Look,
Man, that is the most retarded fucking statement I think I have ever heard. Plumbing doesn't deal with
Bansal, welcome to America, 2020.
What the fuck? Yeah, you know why we don't? You know why? You know why we don't deal with pressure, Arab? Because we've got bendy space time. That's what we use. We use bendy space time.
That's why.
I think you misunderstood. I think you misunderstood what I said.
No, I understood exactly what you said. You said plumbing doesn't deal with pressure. That's what you said. Rewind it.
That's not what I said.
Oh, yes, it is. Correct.
No, it's not. Okay, well, I either misspoke or you misheard me.
Oh, you definitely misspoke.
That's not what I said, or that's not what I meant. That's not what I said or meant to say. I think. I think I said.
You know what? Say what you mean and mean what you say. No, you said plumbing doesn't deal with pressure. 100%. You said that.
I said they're not calculating pressures.
They're not calculating pressure now. So plumbing, you don't calculate.
That's why. Yeah, that's why pipes are sold in individual pressure ratings, right? Because we don't calculate pressure.
Yeah, you know what pressure.
Oh,
no. The city.
Oh.
So you tell me a system. You tell me a case where they're calculating the pressure. Give me a case.
What? Of what?
Of a plumber. Tell me a case where they're not tapping into the known knowledge that the engineer gave them. That's what they're doing. They're tapping into the city's line. The city tells them what pressure it is, and they use that knowledge that the city gave them to determine what pipe they're going to get.
So you agree that pressure is a factor, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Not what I said.
Oh my God.
There's a difference.
But at some stage, so what you're saying there, at some stage, they've had to work out pressure for some sort of plumbing system, but yet plumbers don't deal with pressure whatsoever. They don't have to calculate it because a carpenter works out the pressure for plumbing.
Never check valves, never go.
No, that's right. No, oh my God. This is retard hour.
So same thing. I'll repeat it, and maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. So a plumber will tap into a city line. They'll know the pressure that the city line gives them, right? Because that was given to them. They didn't calculate it. They have no clue what it was. Somebody told it to them. They go find a pipe.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not finished. They go find a pipe that will apply to the pressure that was told to them. And then they'll fit that, right?
Sure.
And then I can see maybe in some extreme cases.
So how do you build? Done,
but in 99% of the cases, all they're doing is reading the pressure that's being output and getting a pipe to fit that pressure.
Cool. How do you build your, let's say, engineering model, right? That you do. You know, you just sit in an office all day. How do you know what the possible faults could be, right? Like let's say drilling through a pipe, or just a lot of faults going on with construction. So how do you know what the plumber is thinking now? What you just told us there. How do you know what he's thinking? You think the plumber doesn't know that? Like when he goes to hot tap into a line, you think he doesn't know it's pressured up? You don't think that?
Of course he does.
Okay. Well, then that has nothing to do with you then, right?
What?
You as an engineer, that has nothing to do with you. The plumber knows where the fucking line is. They bring out their own machines, they dig it up, they find the line, they hot tap into it, they cut it off, and okay. Now, where's your project?
Be redoing the line that they're tapping into.
Oh, you're a plumbing engineer? You redo plumbing through a city?
Plumbing is houses, right? I guess if you want to call it city plumbing, whatever. It's the sewer system, water system, a little bit more complicated.
Septic sewer. I mean, okay, which one are you talking about? Pressurized or non-pressurized? Because
we're doing both.
These are big things here. One has to do with flow, the other has to do with pressure. So septic lines, water lines, drain lines, all have to do with flow. The other one has to do with pressure.
They all have to do with pressure at some point. But regardless, there's two teams. One's doing the septic, one's doing the pressure lines. On the pressure.
So at what point are you, right? You said they all have to do with pressure, non-pressure at some point. Where are you? Where do I?
You actually work for a registered engineering firm? You actually work for a registered engineering firm?
I'm on the pressure side. So right now we're looking at basically manufacturing specific motors to replace the city's motors, the pumps. Okay, so we're re-engineering those pumps.
So you're on the sanitary sewer side, I would guess.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if you're in charge of manufacturing stuff, I don't think I'll be using your stuff.
It's going to be...
Oh, God almighty.
Especially when China's shut down, now you're fucked.
Exactly.
You ain't getting shit, bro.
Well, I'm certified by the state, and
certification. Certification.
I think you need certifying, actually, with some of the statements you're making.
Well, the certification allows me to sign off on projects and say that they're safe.
Even though you've never been in the field, right? You've never been down to a pressure pipe.
We go in the field.
You've never been down to a pressure pipe that broke, like Bandsaw, the guy that's talking to you, has, right? Broke his leg.
Just out of curiosity, 50. Which way do you turn?
Never break.
Just a sidetrack, just a little bit. Which way do you turn a light globe to take it?
I can't understand you with your dick accent.
Which way do you turn a light globe to take it out?
Light globe? I think you might be using a different term than I use.
A bulb, a light bulb, a globe, a light globe, a bulb.
Oh God, I don't know.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Why doesn't that to the right? To the right! Oh, for fuck's sake! Are you telling me you turn it to the right to undo it?
Yeah, man. You didn't know that? You've been doing it wrong this whole time, you dumbass. Go try it. Just make sure you
better be checking your. You better check your light bulb. Just telling you.
You're an engineer on the pressure side, and don't know which way a light bulb comes out.
Lot of Hold on.
I was thinking the same.
For a light bulb. Squeeze the bulb really tight, and then you put a lot of pressure.
Turn it right, and then turn it right. You said turn it clockwise. You said turn it clockwise. You are fucking retarded, my friend. You are retarded.
It might feel like it's gonna break, but it's not. Just trust me. Just keep on twisting and squeeze real hard, and it'll come out. I promise you.
Do you guys over in the States have different light globes to us here? You turn them clockwise?
No. How the fuck are you not getting the sarcasm?
Fucking, I can't even believe you even had the fucking thing. Jesus
Hey Banso, I will say it is my birthday today. 12/1.
Oh, happy,
Yeah,
happy
December 1st,
birthday.
1976. So if I get a little stuttery or slurry, it's because I'm drinking a little bit more than normal.
More than head. More head. Damn, you drink more than normal. What the hell are we in for?
More than normal.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
I
on
said
you.
drink. But I'm gonna get back to thinking about how to engineer real world objects
Okay.
based on scientific principles
Let's get back onto that.
that just
Let's get
so
back to
happen to work. That just so happen. Just if somebody happened to build an object just exactly like an engineer did it work. Like if I put together a phone exactly like it was engineered, it would work. So that means engineering's bullshit.
Oh my god.
That's one of the silliest fucking things I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
Exactly, because you're talking about a computer-controlled device, right? That's created totally by computers. No human can put 15,000 micro dots on one thing and flip it over and put it back through. It's all made in China, dude. All our phones, okay? Now, bridges are different. Bridges are different. Let's say roads are different. Let's say buildings are different, right? Structures are different, okay?
Cars, right? There's a lot of U.S.-made cars made through engineering, right? How do you think, like, if somebody built that motor, that 5.0 Chevy motor, if somebody built that and they didn't know anything about engineering, it would work, man. So engineering's bullshit.
There's no such thing as a 5.7 Chevy engine anymore.
I said,
just so you know. That's the old 350.
I said 5.0.
Yeah, that's the old 350 that existed from 57 up into 87, pretty much.
I'm talking about the new in-house engineered 5.0s.
Yeah. What do you mean, Ford? Or
Ford
what?
started.
What do you mean?
Ford started engineering their own engines about 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
They redesigned almost all their engines. They came back out with the 5.0 in-house design. Cool. But right, if somebody cobbled together those pieces and it had all that precision and all that power, and all that knowledge in it, and it worked.
I get it. You're the engineer that designed it, right? Not the Ford 5.0 or the Chevy 350. I'm just saying you're the engineer that designed the bridge that should stand, right? You're the engineer that designed that, right?
Well, not yet, but one of these days, hopefully.
Okay. How many years do you have in your field?
3.
Okay, cool. What's your next level? What do you have to get up to master engineer, right?
Well, it'll be a while, but I mean, I guess it'd be senior engineer.
That's your next level. How many years is that?
Usually anywhere from like 7 to 10.
Cool.
But man, I just don't understand how you. I'm gonna get off here in just a second, but I just want to say something.
No, stay on. It's okay.
I just don't understand how you can poo-poo that. Everything you use on a daily basis was engineered through knowledge that came from the scientific principles. Your car, your phone, your water system, your refrigerator.
Oh,
your
sure.
stove.
Absolutely. Yes.
Actually, I think it was all based upon trial.
Guess what
and
isn't
error.
a scientific principle?
Atoms.
Atoms are not a scientific principle. Neither are molecules.
Name me one liquid in your house right now that's not in your refrigerator that wasn't engineered. And actually, probably some of them in your refrigerator were engineered.
Trial and error.
You're confusing two different things.
Tell me how the refrigerator was created.
I never said that nothing was engineered, buddy. I never made that claim. You're confusing different things. Scientific principles are absolutely used to help design things and engineer things, for sure. Molecules are not a scientific principle, and neither are atoms.
That's right. Nor is light.
That's not a principle.
Nor
so perhaps you don't understand what a principle is, but those are not it.
That's a fact.
And especially theories
No,
are
those
not
aren't facts either. Those are words
Theories are not
used to describe a thing that is claimed to exist, but that we can't verify. You have never, in your entire job, in all the time you worked and studied in it, you have never once ever relied on the existence of atoms to do it. You've never needed them to be there. I don't need to. You don't need atoms for it to work.
Well,
it
the
all
entire knowledge base.
What about your studies, sir?
Atoms to make any of it work at all.
We know how certain crystals form based on atomic structure. And
No, you
we
don't.
know how they come
No, you
together.
don't. No, you don't. Yeah. You can know how they work. You do not know anything about them based on atoms. You've never seen an atom.
No, you can't. You can't see an atom. It's too small.
That's right. You have never seen an atom.
Inference.
You have never needed to know that atoms exist for any of that information ever.
Yeah, you do. You get.
No, you don't.
Get the basic. Yes, you do. If you know anything about material science starts.
Okay, name one of the things
that
you're talking about making in your field. Name something that you make.
Well, it'd be something that we get made. I don't know something we make
well,
in particular.
So anything in your field that you guys design or engineer or whatever. Name one?
Steel, certain forms of steel.
Okay.
Or all forms.
Now
of steel,
you
really.
find someone who doesn't believe in atoms, and let them look at that steel. Guess what? That steel will still exist and do exactly what it's always done forever, whether that person believes in atoms or not.
Exactly.
It'll still work. The steel will still do whatever it does at whatever temperature, at whatever weight, at whatever pressure. It will always act exactly the same, whether someone who believes in atoms looks at it or someone who doesn't believe in atoms looks at it. You don't need the atoms for it to do what it does.
In the Iron Age, nobody thought about atoms, right?
Nope, they didn't.
Oh, yes, they did.
Nope, they didn't think about atoms. They didn't need them.
The history of the grain structure of metallurgy goes back a long time, guys.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about atoms.
That's where metallurgy. That's where the grain.
We're not talking about long time. We're talking about atoms.
That's where the grain structure comes from. It comes from.
Nope, you're talking about grain structure. You're not talking about atoms.
Listen. Iron ore always existed. Okay. No need to make up an atom. Why make it up? Right.
How can you? What about chemistry, guys?
What about chemistry?
You think that's all just bullshit? Like, okay,
it doesn't matter what you think it is. The chemicals will do what the chemicals do, whether you think they're made of atoms or not. It doesn't matter. They'll still do what they do.
Yeah, but
regardless of you,
whether you think it's made up of atoms or not,
you do. They'll still do it exactly.
They won't be able to make the certain materials because they have no knowledge.
Yes,
of
they
how
will.
They combine.
Listen, I can heat up water and make steam, even though I know for sure that atoms don't exist. Water will still do that. I can still heat it up and make steam. I don't need to understand atoms. I don't even need to believe in atoms. And I can still make that happen. So whatever it is you think that they're making, they can still make all of those things and not believe atoms exist.
So
maybe if they trialed and errored a million different things,
it doesn't matter.
You're not going to make.
It doesn't matter how many times it takes. It doesn't matter what the difficulty is. The point is, you don't need the atoms for it to work.
I would like to bring it back because it's my birthday, right? Back to the gentleman that's here on the show. How do you weigh hydrogen or helium or the other 5 noble gases? How do you weigh them?
The same way you weigh liquid.
What do you mean?
You put it in a container. You put it on a scale.
So you're talking about gases versus liquids versus solids now, right?
Well, I mean that's how you weigh it. The same way you weigh a liquid.
How do you weigh a gas? Tell me.
Or there's another way we could weigh a gas without putting it in a container. Also.
Oh, without.
Yeah, without putting it in a container.
Even if you put it in a container, how do you weigh it?
You put it on a scale.
What do you mean? So you have You have a couple, hydrogen atoms, just floating around. A couple hydrogen floating around. You're like, well, you're gonna get a weight on your scale. You think?
Yeah, I mean, we can distill.
What do you mean we? Who's we, and how do you know this?
Oh, you guys kill me with this we stuff. The scientific knowledge base. Okay. The scientific knowledge base.
Nobody's ever weighed hydrogen, just so you know, right? Nobody's ever weighed it. It's impossible.
Right now.
It's impossible, just so you know.
It's not impossible. That's how it's sold. You can buy hydrogen right now online by weight.
No. You can compress it. You can compress it.
I'm guessing what you probably are basing it on is the pressure of that gas, not the weight of that gas.
No, you weigh it on a scale. That's how you determine its weight.
You weigh the gas.
Yeah, just like you weigh anything else.
Directly.
Just like you weigh a liquid. You fill it up, and then you put it on a scale.
Wait, that's not how I weigh everything else. I don't fill anything up whenever I weigh the baby.
Bro, you get gases in tanks. They're usually liquid. Like, I have a tank of CO2. It's all liquid in there.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how pressurized it is, right? But
it's always pressurized to its liquid state. Always.
Not always.
That was his point with the helium. If you put helium in a tank, the tank will get lighter unless it becomes a liquid, and then it doesn't have that buoyancy to it.
How do you weigh? No. How do you weigh helium? Just tell me. Just tell me how you weigh it.
I just told you. Put it in a container.
And then do what? There's another step. No, there's another step.
Look at the scale.
You have to add more helium and then compress it into a liquid.
You don't have to compress it to weigh it.
Okay. Go check how they weigh helium. Go check out how they weigh helium then.
I bought tanks of helium before, and I don't remember them having liquid in them.
That's why do you think they're in a heavy ass tank?
Do you know how much a tank of helium would have if there was no liquid helium in there? You would get what, one balloon maybe?
Yeah. It would just fly into the back of your truck, right? Like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah. Why are they so heavy? Because if you compress certain gases, they do turn back into their, what do you call that, natural
state. All right, guys, I'm out. We're going to watch the rest of a movie. Adios.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for the happy birthday. Thanks, Bob.
Happy birthday, man.
Just joking, but so when you do pick up a this missile loaded full of helium, right, and it's so heavy, and you can shake it, and you can hear the liquid flowing back and forth, right, and it's compressed, and I know it's compressed because the only way I can release that helium is to put on a regulator on the top of that bottle, the regulator. Right? To only regulate a certain amount of gas that can come out. Okay. So, my question was, how do you weigh an atom of hydrogen or helium? Or how do you weigh that? How do you know that?
An atom?
Just hydrogen or helium or any other of the 6 noble gases.
I mean, talking about one atom. That's a hella complicated process, and I could maybe.
Why is it complicated?
Because you have to isolate a single atom.
What?
I'm trying to look up. You'd have to isolate a single atom.
Has hydrogen or helium ever been isolated? Ever?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I believe so.
Okay, cool. You believe so. So what is CERN for? What is CERN doing? Aren't they trying to isolate?
CERN's smashing together atoms.
Hydrogen? They're trying to do that?
I mean, that's what they're doing. They're smashing together atoms.
Oh, they are? Okay, cool.
I mean, no, they've just built the largest structure in mankind just to fuck around, not do anything.
What are they doing?
It's an accelerator, and it's looped.
Okay, cool.
It's like a figure eight.
What's the purpose? What are they doing there?
They're looking at the strikes in a central point where they collide, and looking at the energy.
What do you mean? What do you mean they collide? What are they shooting around there? Just
the
air
atoms.
or what?
I'm not. I don't know exactly what they use.
Single atoms? Aren't they shooting single atoms?
No. If they only were shooting single atoms, the chances of one atom hitting another one atom would be almost impossible.
Well, you need to research your fucking CERN, bro.
Oh, they're not shooting a single atom. That would be almost nearly impossible.
You need to research.
Do you think they have the?
Just so you know.
You don't believe? Do you believe in atoms?
No, not at all.
Then, I mean, okay. Do you know how small an atom is claimed to be?
I have no idea. You tell me.
So, unbelievably small. Like, let's see. How big is a helium atom? Okay, so a helium atom is 10 to the minus 15 meters. So
how do you know that?
Through chemistry.
How'd you weigh it? How'd you measure it?
A singular atom?
Yeah. You just told me that a single helium atom is 10 to the minus 15.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I'm just reading that from a textbook. I'd have to get into some nitty gritty to actually tell you how they came to that conclusion.
Okay, well, I'd rather get to the nitty gritty, right? Than you tell me it's 10 to the 15, right? So,
well, that'd probably take me a couple hours.
Let's find out how we know that a helium atom is 10 to the 15, right?
That's going to take probably 30 to 45 minutes.
It's going to take ages because it won't happen.
Oh, I'm sure. I guarantee you, it happened, and there's
no way. There is no way. Okay, go ahead. I'll give you time. Go.
Well, I tell you what, I have to get back with you tomorrow. I'm not going to sit here and read for 45 minutes, but I will tell you this. So,
give me a link. How about that? Share us a link, where you found this info, and we can all look at it. That'd be cool in the general chat or, wherever. Where you found, the helium atom is contained of certain. I thought we were talking about CERN, but you don't want to talk about that anymore.
Well, I was trying to tell you how, like, if you're trying to shoot one atom into another atom, they're so small, like, it's too precise. You have to throw tons of atoms at tons of atoms to get collision. You don't throw one atom at another one atom.
How do you know that? What do you mean? Like,
just by logic. And I mean, let me look at. I mean, I can Google. How many. I can look at CERN. At how many atoms are in the ring.
Mm-hmm. In the ring.
Yeah, that's what they call it, I think.
Yeah, it is called the ring, I think.
Let's see here. Large Hadron, the world's largest, most powerful accelerator.
And how many atoms do they shoot at once? At one time? If CERN is a real place, and if they actually do this, right?
Bro, it crosses 2 countries. You can look at it on Google Maps.
I understand I understand what CERN is and where it is in Germany, crossing through Switzerland and through France and all the shit. I get it. Okay. How many atoms do they shoot, and how do you shoot an atom? First of all, don't you have to have an atom to shoot an atom? Where do they get the atom to shoot the atom?
I believe they shoot a laser at a certain type of metal.
Cool. And
so my preliminary research is showing that the way they described it here is 24 bunches of atoms. I don't know why they're being so vague. Let me see if I can find something more specific.
Yeah. Specificity would be good.
Okay, here we go. Injection. Billions of protons are loaded into LHC ring.
Protons. Oh my god, we're getting lower than atoms now. Now we're going to protons.
So that's what they're using, protons.
Oh my god.
So, I mean, protons aren't that hard to get. You just knock an electron off of,
proton has nothing to do with a neutron or electron, right? A proton.
Yeah, protons, like atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Then we've got a whole other science that deals with quarks, right? That's a whole other thing.
Oh, wow.
I mean, these are the smartest minds. These are the smartest minds in our community. And their theories
what's the point though, right? What's the point? Even if the CERN underground ring was real, what's the point? What is the what are we trying to achieve here for science or for your field or where you live or what you do or what I do or anybody else on here? Like what would be the good revelation? Like, wow, man, now we know. Right?
I don't. Well, at first they were trying to confirm the Higgs boson or the boson field, and they were able to confirm that.
What would be the point, though? For normal people. You know what I mean?
Well, it takes a while to trickle down. The science trickles down.
What do you mean?
Well, it takes sometimes decades for the science to trickle down. I don't know. I don't know any specific application of something that would trickle down from CERN. It's just the nature of human beings, right? We want to learn about the universe, just like ants probe their cage or animals probe their cage.
Why do you go to the extreme? Why do you guys always go to the extreme saying ants probe their cave? Like, no, we're talking about this fantastical ring laser proton shooter in Germany, right? And then you go to ants. You can't do that. Dude.
We're probing our cage, bro. We're probing our universe.
You can't do that. So you compare me to the Higgs boson field or ants. Which one do you compare me to? Right?
I'm saying humans. I'm saying it's a.
Which one do I compare to? Ants or protons? Which one?
I'm not comparing you to ants or protons.
But you brought it up.
Yes, I brought it up because all humans, all forms of life, probe things in their existence. They're the limits of their existence, right? They're cages, so be it. And one of our cages is knowledge, and we probe the areas of knowledge that we don't know. It's just something humans do. It's a desire.
What about your cage, right? Your cage.
Well, that's
if I have a cage, you have a cage.
Yes, we all have cages of knowledge, and we all try and constantly learn. That's one of the reasons I became a mechanical engineer and went back to school at 25 after being basically a high school dropout.
But you can, even though you're still you're mechanical engineer, you're still in that cage, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're all. Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just kind of being theoretical here, right? We all have a certain area of knowledge that we have, and I'm just kind of analogizing that as our cage, and we try and expand the cage and make it bigger, grow our knowledge, grow our cage, grow our area of understanding, or go visit other towns, other countries.
Travel, exactly. I agree with you. Exactly.
Yeah, so traveling mentally, right? Same thing.
Not even traveling mentally, just go travel physically. Just go to another state or something, right? Just go hang out.
Sure, I'm just saying it's kind of another area of travel.
You'll meet a whole bunch of other minds that have been caged, right? That now are thinking the same as you, and your mind will be opened up. Just like, wow, I'm not caged, right? There are other folks here, right? Other people, whatever, you know. And then you'll never look back at the Higgs boson particle accelerator. Like, why would you look back there? That's the dumbest thing in the world, dude.
How could you call that dumb? You got basically
dumb, dude.
What else brings to? I mean, you've got something that's bringing together nations.
It's a representation of your life. That's all it is. It's a representation of your life. Whether or not you choose to accept it or deny it.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
Okay.
As an engineer, I think it's incredible.
Okay. You think it's incredible. So in your mind, that creates the Higgs boson circular thing. Okay.
Well, it confirmed it.
In your mind, right? I don't believe it exists. It does not exist. It's not even true.
Well, it was predicted like 30 years ago, and then they built this device to try and confirm if this scientific theory was correct, and lo and behold, everything matches. Right? Isn't that a little odd?
Yeah. In science, where have you been there? Have you been there? First of all? Okay, cool. So you've only seen documents and scientific, news stories and space.com, Hose Bogans fucking, found the particle, right? It's all a mental construct. That's all it is.
Well, I mean, they're getting real data from the machine.
Go there and verify for yourself. Just if you're really concerned about it, which I'm not, go there and verify it for yourself. Which, how come no Germans are coming out right now being like, yeah, we found out about, the God particle, right? How come no Germans are ever, doing that? Why not?
How do you know they weren't? And they released this information like over.
Dude, that would be the most best thing ever, wouldn't it?
Why for Germans?
Well, because the scientific community gathered together in German soil, German, Swiss, and other soils, but and said, "Oh, we found the God particle. We found it." Right? How come there's no out, like up, not rage, but up cheer for, like, yes, we found it. We the Germans are so strong, right? How come there's nothing like that?
So because it's a multi-nation thing, and CERN is mainly in Switzerland.
How come there's no multi-nation saying we found it? Right?
There was. That was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I know. It was about a year and a half ago, and it lasted for a day and a half. That's it.
Well, in the scientific community, it lasted a little bit longer than that, but there's more founders. Switzerland, France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, and a lot of other countries put in on this particle accelerator. It started in 1954 actually, and it's on the France-Swiss border near Geneva. It's not in Germany. You must be thinking of something else. But it's a celebration for the scientific community. That's what
you must be reading old material. Yeah.
I don't think so. This is the CERN website itself. I'm looking at the CERN's own website. But I mean, that's what's so cool about it is it's not like some big it's not like a dick measuring contest. It's a place where communities came together and built something for the future of mankind, not for the future of them, for the future of their own country, right? It kind of forgoes borders, forgoes nationality, forgoes skin color. What else do you know of besides science that brings countries together? Like this, CERN brought countries together, country scientists together that were fighting in wars. And you don't think that's a good thing?
Yeah, I think that if you don't want countries to fight each other, then stop bombing each other. Right? It's very simple.
Well, you tell that to the people that are, dropping the bombs and ordering the dropping of bombs. Tell them that's like the Nancy Reagan "just say no to drugs" campaign, dude. It just doesn't work.
I know.
It's not that simple.
Yeah.
You have to have.
So let's get back onto the CERN thing. So they're shooting one atom through. Because I want to get back to my question. Like, how do you weigh a helium atom? How do you weigh it? Right. That's my original question. Fucking 3 hours ago.
Okay.
Nobody answered it. You've never answered it.
Actually.
Okay.
I know how you could weigh a helium atom. I wasn't sure about the charge. Okay, so do you have any idea what a mass spectrometer is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not super complicated, right? We have equations that connect basically the mass, right? We have F equals ma. We know that equation. We have an equation for F equals it's the charge of particles over the distance, and we have another equation.
Nothing to do with Newton. Yeah, go ahead.
We have another equation for magnetism that can tell you the force there. So if we know two of those, if we know the force, if we know the electrical charge of it, and we know if it could be non-magnetic, or if we know the magnetic field of it, then we can get the third thing through math, through the equation, right? So you put it through a mass spectrometer, and it'll take a certain path, and then we know the science behind that and the equations behind that.
That's right.
And you solve an equation, and then you can get the mass that way. That's how you get it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Through a mass spectrometer. And I will tell you this, if you've ever taken a drug test in your life, it's verified through mass spectrometry. If you get in a car wreck and you get like a paint chip on your car, and they can get the paint chip from the other car, and they'll run that through a mass spectrometer, and if it matches, if it's like a hit and run, they can tell you in court that's proof it's their car. Their ass is going to jail. They're paying for your shit. If you take a drug test and you're going to jail, they have to verify your piss or the drugs in your pee through mass spectrometry. That is the highest form of evidence for what
the globe Earth. For the globe Earth, right?
Well, for just the courts in any nation, that's the highest form of evidence. They have to verify that drugs in your system through the mass spectrometer.
Yeah. Okay. So even on a local scale, we have to verify, right? Even on a local scale, such as drug tests and car wrecks and all this stuff. I get with you, right? So how do you verify?
We're weighing an atom.
Where am I?
Going to weigh an atom?
Somebody
we're weighing an atom.
Somebody save me. Exactly.
Thank you. You're saying, how do we weigh a helium atom? This car wrecks and drug tests got nothing to do with that. You're just talking about calculating through an equation. That doesn't tell you how much a helium atom weighs, man. That's just a bullshit piece of maths on a paper.
It's a bullshit piece of math on a paper that every court in the country relies on. That every court in every court in every country on the world relies on as proof.
When did helium get prosecuted in a court?
Well, helium didn't get prosecuted in a court. People's urine gets prosecuted in a court.
So it's nothing to do with weighing helium.
Yeah, it has everything to do with weighing helium. It uses the exact same system. It uses the same method to determine what substance it is and the mass of it, etc., other properties. Right? So the highest level in any nation standard of evidence is the mass spectrometer. And that's how we were able to calculate,
not measure, calculate.
Correct. Calculate, correct. But we know those calculations are true because we use them to build real world objects.
You don't know that they're true.
We take those equations
you
and
assume.
We build and we take.
And we assume and we think, and that'll do.
Do you know what engineering is?
Engineer, driving trains.
No, that's a conductor.
No, he collects the tickets.
Not in the U.S. An engineer is someone who uses the scientific knowledge base to build real world devices. So once you take an equation and you build a device with that equation and it works, you're taking it from the theoretical and then you're proving that it's real, right?
I was just joking, actually. I am a CGI creator. That's what I do. I mean, I've got 18 monitors around me, all keyboards, all electronics, got everything around me, right? That's what I do. Do you think I can build a reality from that?
You could build a digital reality, but not like a physical machine.
Okay. So you're not talking about physical machines, are you?
Yeah, I'm talking about physical machines like cars, rockets, phones.
The question... Hang on, let's get back. The question from Aaron was, how do you weigh a helium atom? You can't. That's the answer to that question.
You can calculate it.
Thank you, Effie. You're right. How about the 7 noble gases? Let's weigh them.
Same thing. Mass spectrometer.
You can't weigh them.
Well, you can calculate them, and we know through engineering.
That's all. You can calculate them. Yeah, no, I don't think anyone here will argue with that. Doesn't mean it's true.
I mean, where does gravity come in? Where does gravity come into the calculation?
In the back door
of your weighing? Yeah.
Where does gravity come in?
If you want to weigh a gas, I mean, where does little g or big G come in?
At high speeds, it's negligible. They shoot the atoms at such high speeds, it's negligible. But I mean, you could calculate it.
What do you mean? Shoot the atoms at high speed? What are you talking about? I'm talking about.
Well, I'm not.
Because we were talking about, CERN, who's shooting, 1 proton, right? So you must understand protons, billion, right? Dude. You must understand protons. So let's talk about an atom, not just a proton, but just an atom called helium, right? Or hydrogen, or argon, or radon.
Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, any of them.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you weigh those? How do you weigh those gases, and why do they have weights?
Hold on. Why do they?
Well, my first question was, how do you weigh them? And then, how did they have weights? So, how do you weigh them?
They have weights because of gravity.
Okay. How do you weigh them? How do you weigh them?
Well, you would weigh them using a mass spectrometer. Like I said, you know the charge of it, and you know the magnetic moment of it. So there's one more equation. It's just F equals ma, right? Fe evangelist. Have you ever heard of F equals ma? You can prove it to yourself in your living room.
Yes, man. When I was about 14. Yeah.
So if you think that calculation is incorrect, I would challenge you to maybe go try and prove that to yourself.
How do you weigh a gas? You tell me.
We're talking about weight. How are we getting weight from force equals mass times acceleration? How are we getting weight from that?
You're getting the mass.
What is weight?
Well, weight is something specific to Earth's gravity.
What's a gas? What's a gas?
A gas is a collection of atoms that aren't interconnected and bounce off each other rapidly.
Sure.
Randomly in all directions at once at high speed, yeah.
Without any other forces involved, yes. Like if we're just talking about something there's no gravitational field. But I mean, you're saying like, oh, you calculate it, but woohoo, that's not really true. Well, we can prove that F equals ma is true. You can prove that the magnetic equations are true. You can prove that the electric force equations are true.
We're talking about gas. Stay on point. I'd love to stay on point. Stay on point. It's my birthday. I want to stay on point. Okay. How do you measure? How do you weigh a gas like helium? How do you weigh a gas?
Like a large volume of gas?
How do you weigh a gas like helium?
Put it in the container, my man.
Okay.
So that'll register a negative weight, wouldn't it?
No. You can go to the store. They have containers of helium. You can buy them.
Balloons, yeah. What happens when you let them go? They go up. They don't go down on the scale.
Yes, that's because they're in a very specific weighted container that's specifically made to have the buoyant force be higher than the gravitational force. That's a man-made object, right? That's not a natural thing. So wouldn't be the cause of that going up is it's an engineered object. It's engineered to go up. It's not a natural thing, essentially. It's engineered to float.
Okay. As opposed to what natural thing would we compare it to?
Well, do you know another natural thing that goes up instead of down?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Okay, so that we got two things.
Leaves.
If they're blown by the wind.
Sure. Of course.
So hydrogen and helium, if they're in a...
So it depends what medium they're in.
Hello, Paige.
If they're in an
Hello.
Yeah, what's up? If they're in an engineered device, a balloon, specifically made to have them float, they will float. But
do you think balloons are specifically made, like a specific weight to counteract helium? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You have to have a device.
You're kidding me.
To weigh helium. Is that what you're saying, right?
No. He's saying balloons are specifically designed, helium balloons, to combat the weight. But it would depend on how much helium you put inside them, how big they are. Like, what are you talking about?
If you had a lead box and you compressed enough helium into it, would it float in the air?
No, never. It's based on the amount of space. It's based on the amount of space it took up.
What would Newton have thought if he had seen that apple fall off the tree and into a puddle or something and float on the top? What do you reckon he would have thought then?
He would have thought, why did it fall down? And then float.
And stop when it got to a different medium and then float.
Archimedes figured that out before him, the buoyant force. Archimedes' principle. The weight that the amount of water an object displaces is the...
Archimedes was displacement. That's it.
Because that's all there is
displacement.
density disequilibrium, relative density disequilibrium. That's all there is.
That's right, Paige.
And you can get vector and magnitude from just calculating the difference in the density between the object and the medium it's in. So whether the medium's water and a rock, the density difference will give you your vector and your magnitude. So your F equals ma now needs to have density put in there as a force that causes acceleration, because we can show that it happens. Well, Anthony did it. Sleeping Warrior did it with his salt experiment.
But we've all seen.
Paige, the question here is, how do I weigh a hydrogen atom? That's the question. Or helium
they're
atom,
not actually weighing it; they're calculating it.
A neon atom, So we don't want to go into real deep debate on what we call, density, equilibrium, and stuff. Well, I don't. Sorry, Paige. It's my birthday. Come on. We can entertain.
Happy birthday.
Right. So how do I weigh a hydrogen atom again? One more time. Tell me.
Wait, you calculate it using a very well-known equation, F equals ma.
And tell me where the hydrogen atom fits in that equation.
Well, we would know the acceleration it was undergoing because we could trace its path because of the charge of it.
No.
So the path of it would
No.
So you can't weigh it if it's standing still. It has to be moving. Is that right?
Yeah. That's what they're trying to say. Exactly.
Well, we're not really. You're not really.
So how do you know you're measuring the weight and not measuring, something that's happening with it moving,
movement?
Yeah. How do you know you're not just calculating the actual movement of it?
Because of known physics.
What do you mean?
But that's the problem. We're saying the physics that we seem to know seem to be a bit wrong.
I can hear he's already fucking going glober. Okay, how do you weigh a hydrogen atom? How do you do that?
He just told you.
No, I want him to say again because Paige, he flip-flopped already on you. Come on. Don't let him say how he can do it because you cannot weigh.
Yeah, you don't expect him to actually,
you cannot
say
weigh
the same thing.
Atom. You can't do it.
How do I flip-flop?
No, he did concede and said calculate the next time. Like when he said, he came back, he said, when you said, how do you measure? He said, we calculate it. So he did. He admitted you calculate it.
Okay. I'll concede on that point.
But like I said, you can prove to yourself in your living room that equation is true. F equals ma.
No.
We're not disputing.
No.
But you can. Because what they're saying is they won't even let us add the things that we're finding when we do our experiments. We're doing them and we're saying, hang on, we found something and you guys are ignoring it.
Here's my point. Paige. On the periodic table of elements, right? Hydrogen is number 1, right? And just below it has a weight, right? I want to know where you got that fucking weight from. Where'd you get that?
Yeah, they haven't ever weighed it like what we think of, like weighing yourself on a scale.
And just below hydrogen is helium. Okay, where'd you get that?
And I don't even think they're completely correct about what they think.
Below helium is oxygen or whatever it is, right? All down the
if you
left
look at some of the guys,
periodic table of elements. Tell me where you got the weight of gas.
It's rambling, Paige.
He's had a few. It's his birthday, I think.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
Sorry. Thank you, Effie. Thank you. But yeah,
I just wanted to say there are people.
Hey, let's go down the periodic table of elements and make them prove how they got the weight of those gases on that.
Yes, they should.
right side.
Yeah, they should have to be
table of elements. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they wouldn't, if they had everything right, they wouldn't be concerned about scrutiny.
Exactly.
And the ball is very concerned with our scrutiny. So, you know, science should beg for scrutiny because, you know, that's how we know. No, peer review is so corrupt. Oh my goodness.
How would you know that, Paige?
Funding, grants.
I've looked into
clubs.
it. I've read books on people who have from people who have studied the peer review process.
He's distracting you, talking about, you know, peer review.
I don't mind telling him how I know what I know. I'm just saying.
I know, but we have a conversation going.
If you're not part of the club, your stuff won't get peer reviewed to start with.
And if you argue with the club, you'll be out of the club.
Well, then we need
exactly.
Then we need some people doing their own science, and this is one thing I've talked to my brother a lot about.
That's what FE is.
Well,
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, you know, do real science, empirical science. But we've got you guys telling us, oh no, science doesn't prove anything.
You don't understand.
It's like rubbish. It doesn't prove anything. It absolutely proves things.
By any reasonable measure, yes. But people are just trying to be very precise with their language page. Because
no, we are trying to be precise. Your side just tells us we're doing semantics when we try to be precise. They hate it when we're precise.
Well, I mean, basically, it just comes from like a couple of things in logic. Like, for instance, like you could be in virtual reality right now.
Okay,
right?
why do you have to bring up new things when we have a point that we're asking you to address, right? Like, how do you weigh hydrogen? Like, how do you weigh that?
Yeah, I've told you like 4 times.
Okay, well, you've never answered it.
I thought I told you like 4 times.
No, you've never answered. How do you weigh a gas? A gas particle. How do you weigh that?
Well, a gas isn't. You can't describe a single particle as a gas. A gas is a relationship
what is the atmosphere?
Particles.
So, what's the atmosphere? Tell me.
The atmosphere is a conglomeration of millions or trillions, probably gazillions of particles.
Cool. And are they contained or not?
I would say they're contained by gravity.
How many particles of gas do you need to actually call it a gas? How many particles of gas do you need to actually be able to call it a gas?
Exactly. Good job, Benzo.
Hey, Benzo. Yeah, that's right. When does it?
I don't know, but it would be more than one.
Well, so would it be 2?
If you had 2, does 2 become a gas?
That's right, 2.
2? You could probably describe it as 2. 2 might work.
2 might work. It might work, but 1 might
2
work. 2 may work. We've got a better chance with 3.
Home and hose with 3 for sure.
Well, I mean, just think about what's a solid. A solid is a conglomeration of atoms.
What has a solid got to do with a gas? So are you saying now that one particle of gas is now a solid? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Well, would it be a solid though?
Well, exactly. Fe is one particle.
One helium atom a solid? There's a question.
Yeah, exactly.
States of matter are a description of the relationship between atoms or molecules.
What do you think is in an atom? See, I don't even agree with what they say these things actually are. Everything, all magnets in nature are dipole, and they've got these things with 1 or 3. You know, an electron should be 2. You know, positive and
everything's a dipole. Everything's a dipole in physics. We've never seen a monopole. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the liquid, solid, or gas, that's describing a relationship between different atoms or molecules, right? If you have one in isolation, you can't describe a relationship with other atoms or molecules. So it makes no sense to say that a single molecule is an atom.
Does it have no state of matter then?
Correct. It would have no state of matter. Just like empty space has no temperature. Temperature is a description of basically how fast an atom is vibrating. So if you have no atom, there's no temperature.
And that would be where? In a vacuum?
Yeah, I mean, but there's no true vacuum, right? Space is measured in torr, which is a pressure measurement. So there's no...
Which is almost a vacuum, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
how would you have a vacuum? How would you have a vacuum without a container that's been evacuated? Where would that vacuum exist? In what?
How would you say it again?
Where would that vacuum exist? Like, for you to create a vacuum, you need something that you can evacuate all of the gas from to then create, as best we can, a vacuum. So that vacuum that's out there, what would that be within? What would contain that vacuum?
Gravity. I don't necessarily... The gas on Earth is contained via gravity. Space still has particles in it.
But what's space within? Like, you can't have a vacuum without something which is evacuated.
I don't know. I don't believe that's true. I don't understand why.
Gravity. That's
I think I've just exploded his brain.
I don't think that, you already said it. I don't think that's true. I don't think you have to evacuate something for there to be
nothing.
Vacuum. Like there could just be something out there with nothing in it that's never had anything in it. Say there's a
Okay, but what? Okay, cool. Hang on. But what's the it? Something out there that's never had anything in it. What is it?
Space, just empty space.
But that's the thing. But what's? It must have. Does it have a boundary? Does it have a wall? Does it have? What does it have? What's the end of it? What's at the end of it?
The end of the gravity. The last molecule that's been pulled in by gravity. So if each body has gravity, each body has pulled its own molecules towards that body, then there's spaces in between. Because supposedly every body out there has a little bit of atmosphere because it has gravity. It's pulled some molecules, some particles towards itself.
But what would be? Yeah. I mean, I'm asking you a question you can't know the answer to, so it's a little bit rhetorical. But
well, yeah. I heard my brother was on here last night.
Who's your brother? I wasn't on here, so I can't help you, Tony. How do you weigh a helium atom?
Going back to this. Okay, how about this? We know the density. We know the density of a liquid amount of helium, and then we decrease the pressure until it's in its gaseous form.
Yeah.
And we have a sensor detector. In there. And we can, a very small sensor detector. And we can detect every time it's struck. And every time it's struck, it produces a force. And there's a way to calculate there's a way to get the average number, or there's a way to get the average velocity of the particles. I don't know exactly how to do that, I know there's a way, but that would be a way you could do it. I wish I could tell you that part of the method, but that's a way you could do it. Have a small sensor in a known quantity of liquid gas or liquid helium that you turn into gas form by reducing the pressure on top and then having it hit a pressure sensor. Essentially a scale, right? It'd be striking a scale. And that's one way you can get the weight. Or it wouldn't be the weight, it would be the mass. Weight is specific to something's Earth gravity. Weight is specific to Earth's gravity. Now you can weigh the atmosphere, right? We know how high the atmosphere goes. So you can basically weigh, if you have a pressure sensor on the bottom of Earth, you can weigh the gas because you know just like you can do it with a column of water, right? If you have a column of water, like let's say it's 10 feet high and it's 1 foot square, and you have a pressure plate at the bottom, you know the weight of that water is going to be rho GH. That's determined through experimentation. So you can do the same thing with gas. It's a little bit of a different equation, but we demonstrated that's true through experimentation, and you can weigh a column of air using that method.
Yeah, and what container goes from, well, if anyone can name a container that goes from 14 psi down to near zero, I've never heard of one that does that. So it has to be something else. Gravity. Because, granted, you can have gradients in a steel container, but they're not that big of a difference, though. It's not like 14 to 0.
Yeah,
14. Go for it, sorry.
Correct. It's just I've heard a lot of Globers say there's not a gradient in a container. It's kind of a misconception. There is. It's just usually so negligible, right?
Yeah. Then they get caught up on that when you should be saying you can't find me a container that goes from 14 to near 0, and then that's the killer right there, because no one can show that in the container. That kills the pressure argument.
Yeah, I mean, there really is just so much, and there's just so much. I was on here, I was talking to these guys earlier, and I'm not trying to down you guys or anything, but they're literally denying that like atoms exist. I don't know how you get there, or why would you would think a whole branch of physics that the modern world was built off of is fake. I don't know what purpose that would serve, who that would help.
Well, especially when you can go into that field and learn everything there is to learn about that. What the smartest person in that field, you can learn everything that person knows if you want to learn it. It's not like it's kept from us. It's there. Just instead of stopping at high school, people go on, and then that's where they learn all the stuff that they're not understanding. You guys aren't understanding. That's where everything's learned. Learned it.
It is.
See, I didn't go past high school, so I say learned it.
It is. It's a field that's practiced today that you can go into and practice yourself. Just like construction, being an electrician. You can go learn the...
Hey.
Sorry, I broke up. But yeah, you go learn the skills, and you can... It's a live career field. Man, this push to talk is shit on iOS. Sorry.
It's like going to a plumber and being like, you know what? Those pipes, they don't work the way you say they work. Oh, have you have a background in plumbing? No. I just don't understand it, so it can't be that way. Granted, it's nothing like that, but it's better to talk shit.
Paige, what do you make of that? The fact that these are career fields that you can go into right now. You can go sign up for college. You can go learn all the things that, a lot of us have learned, and you can go practice these principles that we're talking about and build real world objects or apply them and prove them to yourself. It's not hidden from you. You can go to any college become an engineer, become a scientist, and kind of show these things for yourself.
Look at Professor Phil Bell. He honestly thinks he works for a company that sends satellites to space.
Maybe he does.
You know, this lie is so big that they are now writing textbooks that say level is curved.
Well,
you know, they are going to any length.
They're not saying level's curved, though.
Sorry?
They're saying level is just
horizontal.
Level from the center of the Earth. Center of the Earth. It could be flat. It could be.
No, if it's level from the center of the Earth, it's a curved line.
Okay, as long as it doesn't deviate from that curve from the center, then that's level. I mean, this is what people learned after high school.
Yeah, but level is actually horizontal.
But you
it's
learned
not
that
curved.
in high school, though, Paige. You don't remember learning that in high school?
You learned what in
that
high
can
school?
Be curved? That level can be curved?
No, I was taught geometry that has verticals and horizontals 90 degrees from each other, and all horizontal lines can be parallel. All vertical lines are parallel. They do not, horizontal lines do not intersect, verticals do not tilt. The ball is just ludicrous. When you go back to basic geometry, the ball's just absolutely ludicrous. I can't believe any of us fell for it.
Paige, you must have forgotten all the stuff you learned, because all the stuff is in high school geometry. All of these arcs, parallel, everything is in high school geometry, Paige. I don't know what you're saying. Like, anyone who's gone through high school knows that level can be curved, as long as it's. Oh, wait,
well, it's funny you say that, because a surveyor on the side of the road doing his job says that level is horizontal, not curved. Definitely not, and laughed.
Okay, well then.
So why on earth you think it's curved when a surveyor doing his job says level is horizontal flat, it's not curved? Oh, yeah.
Because I wouldn't base everything I know and trust one person that says
that's
that they're
actually doing his job, surveying.
Did you see his
surveying
license, Paige?
Oh, fuck me.
Well, I'm just saying, you don't trust NASA or anything, but you're going to trust some guy.
Look, mate, if you're that happy with your religion, then by all means, if you want to be...
Well, I'm not the one that's just trusting someone who says they're a surveyor. Yeah. You don't trust all...
Dude, you're trusting everybody on TV. You've never met any of these people. You're trusting all the astronauts. You've never met any of them.
I think a lot of science shit is bullshit. A lot of space stuff's bullshit.
I myself can go and use a water level and a plumb bob and, create air pressure inside a container. None of you can show me how a vertical... I can get you my fucking hairspray and show you air pressure in a container. Like, what?
Can you show a gradient in that airspray bottle? Can you show a gradient in that airsspray bottle?
Blue Marble Dickhead Science did a air pressure without a container, but showed a gradient in a container, the fuckwit.
Yes, but was it from 14 to 0?
It doesn't matter, you dumb.
Yes,
you
it
don't
does
even
matter.
say it goes to 0, so get off it.
Okay, near 0. Who cares? Near 0. It goes from 14 to near 0. Tell me wherever you can find a container that holds that.
About your ball. I can give you a flat Earth map with all the land on it, with water on it, with the stars going around the top, with the sun and the moon in there, with clouds and rain and a dynamic system happening inside. You cannot show me your ball with any of those things.
Yes. Oh, so you're okay with there being a big glass dome over us? How did the glass dome get there? Where did they mine all the silica to make the glass dome?
It's not made out of glass, mate.
Oh, or ruby,
if you read the Bible, it's made out of crystal. Yeah.
How do you even know that?
Which the refraction
where do you get everything that
make comets? Chromatic aberration. That's what causes comets. Like, I know a lot about this, mate.
So our dome is made out of chromatic aberrations.
Oh, you're not listening, eh? I said it's made out of crystal, and when light hits this crystal, and you can do this on Earth, you can do this experiment yourself. You can cause chromatic aberrations which look just like comets.
Wow. And so how
I
the
can
hell
even
did
make
they
a
make this big
star
dome
in a
over us?
jar for you, if you like.
And you don't think it's ridiculous sounding that there's a big dome over us and we're all
No, I
just
don't think
God's
it's. I
little,
think it's more
playthings?
ridiculous that we're flying out in the middle of nowhere and asteroids could hit us at any second. I think that's more ludicrous. I think
Hang on, if you want to talk ridiculous, how about a pinhead, less than a pinhead, exploded into 1 trillion galaxies? How's that for ridiculous?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I don't think that it happened like that. So,
it's a
I mean, I
fairy
think it's a little
tale.
bigger than a pinhead. I don't see how
So
that could
you
even
just
happen.
pick parts of your religion you want to agree with and get rid
And
of
so
it.
do you, Paige. You don't. Are you telling me you don't pick parts
I
of your
don't try
religion
and
that you
teach
like?
your children my religion, though, do I?
Yes, you're trying to teach all of us your idiotic
No, I'm not.
view on
You
what the hell's
come
going on
to
right now.
us. I don't come and chase you down. You come and chase us down.
Well, when we come in here, you sure just pipe up and want to tell everything you
You're
know about the subject.
asking us. What, do you want us to all ignore
You're
you?
right.
You
Paige,
come
I
here to
asked
talk
you
to us
exactly.
and we're just supposed to ignore you. You'd get
Would you
shitty if
rather
we
just
did
have an
that.
echo chamber where you're sitting here with all your friends and just talk about, hey, yes, we know this.
Yeah, because I spent as much time at school as you did. I've had enough of their indoctrination. I want to talk to critical thinking, actually smart people who can think outside the box and come up with new ideas for me to think about.
Really? And you take every new idea. You
really.
don't throw any of the bullshit out. You keep all everything. It's all good except for the scientifically proven stuff.
No, I
That's all
listen
lies.
to every single person's opinion and then I make
you
up
pick the
my
wrong ones.
own mind.
That's bullshit.
How
When
can I
did you come
make up
with
anybody else's
chromatic
mind?
aberration?
Look
What did
it
you
up.
do? So you just came up with chromatic aberration one day?
Look
You're like,
it
oh, crap,
up.
that's what it is.
Are you in front of a computer? Look it up.
You've come to our sandpit, pal. We didn't come to your sandpit. You've come to our sandpit.
Exactly. You guys come chasing us down, asking us for answers. When we give them to you, you go, you guys think you fucking know everything. Like, well, don't come fucking asking us
when
questions
you do know more
then.
than someone else, and you're being like very snide and very smart ashes about everything you friggin' know. You're so much smarter than everyone else, and it comes off that way, Paige. Like you think, like everyone else is stupid but you. Because you've come up with this great idea that those chromatic aberrations have created crystal fucking domes over our head.
You asked me what I thought it was made of, so I told you. Now you're going to use that to be an
No,
asshole?
you said it was made of.
Yeah,
You said
that's
it
what
was
I
made
think
of.
it is made of, yes!
And that's not crazy to you, huh? Crystal.
Where's
Where's the condensation on the walls of this dome? Shouldn't there be condensation up there?
I just have one input.
How do you
What is
know
your
there's
space
not?
made of? What's your space made of? If it's not crystals.
And how the fuck do you know there's not condensation on the inside of it?
What's your space
Because I
made
can't
of?
see it at night when I'm looking at the
What's
stars.
it made of? Go ahead, go.
So what if at night time it's too cold, the condensation no longer there?
Then during the day we
What's
should see
your
it, the
space
sun
made
would be
of?
kind of blurry.
What's your space
The
made
sun would
of?
be blurry.
Just so you know.
Oh
You're
my
okay
God,
with
the
the
sun's
sun
not
just floating inside
behind
of
the firmament,
no, wait,
it's
you're okay
within
with the
it.
sun floating inside of a dome?
Hello?
Just floating, it's just going around in this nice
Hello?
circuit.
Hello?
No,
Hello?
because I can show you quantum locking magnets that can spin upside down an inch from the magnets, either right way up
Yep,
or
and they have
upside
to
down,
be
it
in
doesn't matter.
sub-zero temperature, Paige.
Yeah, and
Paige,
guess
there has
what?
to be
Up
sub-zero
there it is.
temperature
What's
for
your
that.
space
Up there it
made
is. There's
of?
not
not.
enough
Here's planes
molecules.
up
You're
there.
questioning,
There is not enough
Paige,
molecules
of what
for
her
it to get
dome's
hot.
made of. What's your space
You don't believe
made
in
of?
molecules.
What is
So
it?
stop talking about
What is
them.
it?
Excuse me, I never said that.
Well, atoms are made of atoms are in molecules.
So, I never said anything about atoms.
Yes, you did. About 30 minutes ago, you said that you don't even believe in atoms.
That's not what I said. I said I think...
Space. So what's your
Back to the
space
tape.
made of? Right?
Space is made of. I don't know. I've never been
Okay,
up there.
well you just question Paige about what her dome is made of. So what's your space made of?
Okay,
You
because
tell
the
me.
dome is
You
here. We
tell
should
me.
be able to feed. It should end somewhere.
Tell me, smart guy. Go ahead.
Let's be smart about it. You're right. Someplace we could probably get to the dome end somewhere, and it'd
No,
have to be
no.
thicker.
What's your space made of? You tell me what
space is made of everything that's here, and then nothing. Everything. Who knows?
Oh, it's everything and nothing. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what I'm saying. Is that too hard for you to comprehend?
Cool.
So having an actual explanation is ludicrous when you can say it's everything and nothing.
All we have here,
chromatic aberrations isn't ludicrous.
All we have here for the verification of space
is the experiment
nothing and
I know it's real.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, you are going to argue with me out of ignorance, really? When you're in front of a computer or a phone,
from ignorance. So
and
I have
you could
to
actually look it up
because you've created an ignorant conversation. The only way to
by telling you something you didn't know before. How is that creating
you don't think I knew about chromatic aberrations, Paige? You're kind of crazy for you to think you know about someone to the point where you know if they know something or not. I've never heard of chromatic aberrations before.
So you don't know then. So I did tell you something you didn't know. How is that teaching you ignorance?
Are you so dry that you don't see that I was sarcastic there? Come on, Paige.
You're an idiot. I thought you were actually just being honest and having an honest conversation like I am.
Because you never joke. I forgot. Paige never jokes. Doesn't know what a joke is.
Not when somebody's this triggered and I
all of a sudden we're
realize
joking?
I need
Now we're
to be as honest as I can with them.
I'll joke when it's a stupid conversation. I'll joke about it.
How about you look it up before you say that? Look it up and actually see what it is.
Is the dome made of
look up chromatic aberration. How it's created, how they can replicate it on Earth. They can replicate all the craters on the moon. They can replicate comets. They can replicate all that stuff.
What's your space
you know what else does? Asteroids hitting and meteors hitting a body.
What's your space
Okay, if you're happy with that, then more power to you, mate.
How come all the craters on the moon are like dead, like round? They're not like elongated, like an asteroid would kind of hit it?
Because they're going like subsonic speeds, and when something goes that fast, it explodes.
Subsonic.
How are they all 90 degrees?
Or supersonic, sorry.
When the Earth's in the way. How are they all hitting bang on the moon with the Earth in the way?
Are you serious?
No, the moon is
Stop being so bloody logical.
There are craters here. There's all kinds of craters here.
The moon's 4 times smaller than Earth. You couldn't get a meteor to go around Earth, then line up 90 degrees with the moon, and then hit it so hard it creates a massive big crater.
Let alone a fucking 1,000 times.
The Earth blocks all the moons. Are you trying to tell me the Earth gets in the way of all the asteroids that can hit a moon? Are you guys crazy?
All the craters
not just once. Not just once, bro. Not just once.
You gotta listen. You gotta listen, man.
What strain of dope are you on today?
These people are morons.
He's doing that thing where he's making up a whole new argument out of something you said that wasn't the point. So he's building straw men and burning them.
How did every asteroid hit? Tony, stop talking, man.
Yeah, you're always talking when I'm talking.
The question is, every asteroid has hit it at a 90-degree angle. How is that? Why aren't there any sideways scraping craters? Why are they all like a direct hit?
They blow up.
Craters. What we call craters.
When they hit.
How? How are they hitting
the speed? They're going crazy fast.
And they just happen to
how when the Earth is right in the way?
Did you see the one that hit in Russia? Did you guys not see the one that hit in Russia? It was freaking huge, and it blew up all the windows out of the buildings. What was that? Was that a part of the fucking dome that fell apart and came in?
Do you know what?
What was that?
I saw a light in the sky, but I never saw anything hit the ground. No one ever had any footage of something actually hitting the ground.
Well, look up the Russia fucking meteor.
I have. They've got. You see it shooting through the sky. And you see a bit of clip of a school or something getting its windows blown out, but you never actually see the thing hit the ground. So sorry, but
even if it didn't hit the ground, it blew up over the ground.
No,
okay?
It's a light.
But it blew up and blew up all the fucking windows because of the pressure.
You're a muppet, Tony.
What was it? It was a piece of crystal coming from the firmament, is what you're saying.
No, it's chromatic
is that
aberration
what you're saying? It's a chromatic aberration that blew up.
No,
How did it blow up?
It's a light. It's a light.
It's a light. Are you fucking serious, Paige? Come on.
How do you weigh?
Yeah, I'm
Be serious, you guys. It was something came out of the sky and blew up all the buildings' fucking windows.
If you
Not
want
just
to
one
believe
building,
that, then go
hundreds of
ahead.
buildings.
To the moon, you muppet. You compare
How do you weigh gas?
You're a dead set
He can't be
muppet.
very happy with these explanations because he's here arguing with us. Like, I don't go to Paula's chat arguing
going down
that
is
I'm
chromatic
right,
aberrations.
but they come
Is
here
every answer
asking
chromatic
us.
aberration, Paige?
Sorry,
How do you
is
weigh
every
gas?
comet? Yes, every comet and meteorite, every shooting star is this phenomenon. Yes.
How do you weigh gas?
Happy birthday to
Carefully.
you. Happy birthday
In
to
a
you.
container, right, Tony?
Thank you,
Harold.
Benzo.
Happy birthday
How about a container that has a gradient from 14 to near 0? Show me that on Earth. Thank you.
Show me water sticking to a ball.
Have at least 2 beers for me, Aaron.
Okay,
At
dip
least
a
2.
basketball in water and pull it out. Is it perfectly dry? Is it perfectly dry, Paige?
A couple of
or is
millimeters.
the water sticking to it?
No, you want 14.7 to nothing, so I want equivalent of the Mariana fucking Trench on a basketball.
Which is
Thank you very much.
3 millimeters of water.
Yes, so do
Which
it.
is 3 millimeters of water on a basketball, Paige.
3 millimeters. Do it all the way around.
Those
I bet
little
you can't.
divots on there could hold 3 millimeters of water. Are you
Oh,
retarded?
fuck me. You're kidding. Do you know how much 3 millimeters is? They'd be lucky to be a tenth of a millimeter, those little divots.
It's the Muppet Show.
That's the Marianas Trench. You want the Marianas Trench. How about the rest of the ocean? That's only like a fucking pubic hair fucking width.
So you got 3
That's
millimeters.
on the basketball that you dip in water.
How are you going to keep
Dip a
3
basketball in water,
millimeters of
pull it
water
out, and it
all
would
the
be
way
the same depth
around?
as the ocean.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't
Really?
be
So when you dip a
scalable.
basketball in water and pull it out, it's dry, huh?
Go on,
Must be
Paige.
chromatic aberration.
You're arguing with a Muppet. Did you go swimming the other day, Paige?
You really are just an arsehole, aren't you, Tony? I tried
No,
was it
because
yesterday
you-
or something to
no,
be
you
nice to
started it,
you?
Paige.
No, I didn't. I haven't sworn
Paige,
at
you
you. I
started
haven't called you any names. I've
I
just
don't care. You
answered the
pretty much
questions
insulted
you've
my
asked.
intelligence.
How? By
I
answering your
insulted him.
questions. Really?
You're right, Paige. You were just you were a nice little angel.
I have
And you always
been.
talk shit, Paige.
All I've
You
done
always
is
talk
answer your
shit to people.
questions nicely.
Not nicely, no.
Always.
Yeah, nicely. You're
It's
getting
this.
triggered and being nasty to me,
don't give a
so
fuck
I'm
if I'm
getting a little
triggered.
bit
Who cares if I'm
pissed
triggered?
off.
It's a triggering subject because it's fun to be triggered. I
No,
like to be
it's
triggered,
not.
actually.
It's only
Not for
triggering
you,
if you're in a
Paige.
religion.
Sorry, Paige, not for you, but everyone isn't like you. I like to be triggered. It's fun.
Oh, so you enjoyed this, right? You enjoyed this?
You guys don't use it. You guys never vent in here, huh? None of you guys have ever got mad at someone and vented.
Of course
No,
we
you guys are
have,
perfect.
but we actually
Okay, then
try
what the fuck are
to
you judging me
control ourselves.
Yeah.
Because you're not displaying even the slightest bit of control, Tony.
Judgmental ass.
Yeah, I am.
Going around.
No, you're not. You're just being nasty to
Well, I'm
all of
talking to
us
people.
for no reason.
Yes, there is a reason. You're trying to tell me
What's-
that
Listen, Troy.
all my
there's
beliefs
no
are
reason.
bullshit.
I'm
What's your
answering
reason?
your question. Gee,
What's your
I'll
reason?
remember not to do that again,
Really, I was
won't
answering
I?
your question. I was answering your question, actually.
Actually,
I've got
okay,
training
so what was the
check,
question?
20%,
And give an answer.
Too loud from that. 20%.
I don't know how many atoms can fit on the tip of a pen.
You wouldn't
Okay,
fucking
cool.
know. You don't even
What's
know
your
what a
answer?
fucking atom is.
Let him answer,
billion.
Benzo.
Oh,
Fuck
sorry,
you,
Aaron.
Benzo.
I'm getting
Fuck
triggered,
off.
Aaron. I'm getting triggered.
Oh,
I like how you guys are all triggered now for my trigger, and you guys don't know it.
fuck you, Benzo.
So now should I
See, you're
should I
triggered.
go off
Bam,
at
that's
you
one
that,
trigger.
oh, don't you know sarcasm? Oh, you idiot, don't
Well,
you
now you're
understand
triggered.
sarcasm?
I got like 4 people triggered in here. I didn't mean to do that, but you guys are talking shit about me being triggered. Now you guys are all triggered. Ah.
Damn.
You really
That
do
wasn't
have
hard
a
either.
very
That's how
small
easy it is to
grasp
get in your
on
guys' head, I
emotional
guess.
So
things.
let's go
Hey,
back
Tony.
to let's go back to Troy's or his
Tony's.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Tony, I need a different.
whatever
strain
his name is,
marijuana,
Troy,
please.
Tony, whatever.
Yeah, I know. My brother last night was stupid.
Okay, cool. What's your point?
And
That's my
stay
second
away from the
personality.
meth and you'll be alright.
Exactly.
Yeah.
away from the
What's
meth.
your
Oh,
point,
you must do
Tony?
meth then.
What's your point, Tony? I mean, just give us one, right? And in
8 point. Oh, come on, Aaron.
a point.
What
Don't
was
ask the impossible, Aaron.
Oh shit. Here we go.
it? Just ask me whatever.
Here we go, Bandsaw. Here we go.
Oh, sweet. I got an Oreo McFlurry. Hey, how many of you guys got an Oreo McFlurry?
I don't drink pig.
That's chromatic aberration. That Oreo McFlurry.
Awesome.
It's all made of a pig fat.
You still eat McDonald's? Well,
Right,
there we go. See, he hasn't
I
even
just
gotten
bought my
the
wife a
poisons
McFlurry,
out
just
of
so you
his
know.
system.
What? As a birthday
Probably drinks
present?
fluoride water, eats
McDonald's
McDonald's.
sells a McFlurry. Yeah, that was awesome.
Here's our birthday present.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, for her. Exactly. I bought it. Exactly. She loves it. The fudge, the ice cream, everything. Yeah, the nuts.
Tell her what's in it. She might not love it so much.
Yeah. Reconstituted pig's fat. That's what's in it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and some Jewish
she tells
rabbi
me-
came out.
Yeah. And Bandsaw, she tells me, and Paige, she tells me, don't buy me this. It makes me fat. And I'm like, baby, you're not fat.
She's a bloody toothpick is obese compared to Meow. What the fuck?
I know.
Have
It's
you
like
seen the
Exactly.
Have you seen the rabbi who came out talking about McDonald's and how they put all the sacrifices they do, that's how they get rid of some of the excess flesh left over from all their sacrifices. Put it in the McDonald's.
Are you serious?
What the
Yeah, he was laughing about it, how they're making us eat our own kids. He was laughing about it.
Oh, man, that's like Sandra Bullock getting baby dicks rubbed into her face.
Yeah, baby foreskin facials.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that the rabbis suck the blood off the babies' penises with their mouth.
It's actually legal.
Like, yeah, what the fuck?
Sucking baby dicks is legal. They get an exemption.
Is legal, yeah.
Yeah. How the hell? Fact is strange.
Yeah, if you can't see there's something seriously wrong with this world, then if you can't see it by now, then I really don't think there's any hope for you.
There's no hope.
Yeah, because it's so obvious. They've made it. They're not hiding what they do.
No.
You know, this. I bet you any money the next law to be passed will be pedophilia will be decriminalised. That'll be all acceptable.
Well, they're trying to make identifying as a child legal, so that will make pedophilia legal.
Pedophilia legal, yeah, because they'll be kids fucking kids instead of kids and adults. Yep.
Just lots of little steps.
Exactly,
yeah, the totalitarian tiptoe, as David Icke calls it. I thought that was magnificent. It's exactly what they do. Want to get from A to Z, you don't just jump from A straight to Z, you just do your little tiptoe along the alphabet, one step at a time. Nobody knows.
Pretty cool, but I just can't get
he's been vindicated.
Yeah, I just can't get into the reptilian page. I must say.
Yeah, I think he's seen something that most people haven't seen, but I'd need to see